morning and welcome to the Olympia World Arena on the southern edge of Innsbruck city centre in the Austrian region of Tyrol. Mike Langley and Charlie Bosco here live for the Olympic format combined final to what has been a fabulous World Championships here in Innsbruck. If the Olympic dream for climbing has just seemed like a theory, if it seemed like something in the distance that remains intangible, it's going to get very real today. We have 6 of the best female climbers and 6 of the best male climbers in the world competing in an Olympic format combined event. There are 3 disciplines that the climbers will be competing in today: speed, boulder and lead, and they will be in that order. The speed will be first, followed by the bouldering and followed by the lead. Mike, when it was announced that climbing would be an Olympic sport, it was very exciting. It still feels slightly unreal. That is about to change today. What a moment and what a day for climbing.
Yeah, this is going to be massively exciting and extremely interesting. A number of different athletes are skilled in different disciplines here, but overall, we've got the best lead and boulderers here in the combined. Speed is going to be the weakest discipline for a lot of these climbers. They're going to get that out of the way first, and then it's going to be onto the bouldering, and then it's going to be the lead, and it is going to be interesting.
Yeah, if you're watching climbing for the first time, all 6 of the climbers you're seeing today, I'm pretty sure, would class speed as their weakest discipline. So the world record for speed for the women currently stands at 7.32 seconds. And just to give you some idea, for the qualifying times, the closest we got was Miho Naka, who is the second Japanese climber on the right. She got 9.061 in qualifying. So she's within 2 seconds of the world record, but that's still some way off in real terms for speed specialists. So for all these climbers on the speed climbing, it's certainly their weakest discipline. And there is Janja Garnbret. She was recently crowned the boulder world champion earlier this week, and next to her, just sharing a joke, is Jessie Piltz, who was crowned lead world champion.
5 of those 6 female athletes competed in the boulder final the other night. Just Solsar coming through on the combined.
As Mike said, that was the lineup for the bouldering, with the exception of Solsar. It was Stasha Gayo who took home the bronze medal in the bouldering final. When it comes to the combined, Solsar takes her place. No need for the climbers to observe the speed wall. Even those who were new to the discipline a couple of years ago know it pretty well now. And let's have a look at our speed wall. The speed wall's on the right, then the bouldering's in the middle of the arena, and the lead wall is far over to the left. And here is the wall, 15 meters high, 6 meters wide, 5 degrees overhanging. Climbers practice this route multiple times. There's nothing new to them here. You can always perfect your technique. You can always find a slightly better method that suits your body type. So there's always something to learn about the route, but they do know the route off by heart. And the speed competition is what it says on the tin. There's a timing pad on the bottom, and your time is how long it takes you to get from that timing pad to the one at the top.
Identical routes on the left lane and the right lane. It's been the same for many years.
And in the speed final, you're racing the person next to you. So although times are key in the qualifying round, when it gets to this stage, you're racing the person next to you in order to progress. And there we can see the start order. The first race will be Miho Naka against Jessie Piltz. And the way the seeding works is that is the fastest qualifying time against the slowest. Miho Naka at 9.061 was the fastest in qualifying, and Jessie Piltz with 11.998 was the slowest. It's fastest against slowest from the qualifiers in our first race, and the winner will progress through. Then it'll be second against 5th in the qualifiers, which was Solsar and Janja Garnbret, and then 3rd against 4th, which was Petra Klingler against Akio Noguchi. So the winners of the 3 races will go through, and they'll be joined by the lucky loser, the fastest climber who comes second in their race. So 6 climbers start out, 4 will progress. The winners of the 3 races and the fastest loser. Miho Naka on the left, Jessie Piltz on the right. As I said earlier, none of these climbers are by any means speed specialists, but the times are tumbling down for non-specialists, and Miho Naka getting close to going under 9 seconds in the qualifier is, for someone who's as strong as she is in other disciplines, immensely impressive. Miho Naka on the left, Jessie Piltz on the right. Very clean start from both. And Miho, as you might expect, opening up a small lead, but Jessie more than staying with her. Just Miho begins to pull away on the top half of the route. She takes it in 9.85 to Jessie's 11.06.
Good time for Miho there, suffering from a pretty serious shoulder injury on the right-hand side. She picked up earlier in the week, really suffered in the boulder finals, manages to put down a pretty decent time, like I said, 9.85. So she's actually heavily taped there for the speed competition. Skin is going to be a huge deciding factor here. 3 disciplines so close together, minimal break between them. Jessie Piltz put in a fairly decent run, to be fair. Which I said, that's not really her specialist discipline.
Yeah, almost a second quicker than her qualifying time there, Jessie Piltz. She clocked at 11.998 in the qualifiers, 11.06 here today. Miho Naka, on the other hand, almost a second slower than her qualifying time. But because you're racing the person against you, if you're Miho Naka going against Jessie Piltz, you know in the back of your head that if you just have a nice, clean run, you can afford not to go quite at full tilt, but you'll still do enough to progress. Now this proves to be fascinating. Janja Garnbret, who's dominated women's league climbing for the past few years and is beginning to dominate the bouldering too, now takes her turn on the speed wall. Jessie, of course, was beaten into second place in the Lead World Championships by Jessie Piltz, but few would argue that she's normally the favourite when she gets onto a lead wall. Here's Solsa. Just looks happy to be here. Janja looks pretty lost in concentration. Solsa, quick in the qualifiers, 9.806, which, to give you some context, is very close to the same time we just saw from Miho Naka. Only 0.05 of a second difference. Janja, on the other hand, 10.62. So for a non-speed specialist and someone that only started the discipline recently, not too bad a time from Janja, and her times have been coming down. Again, clean start from both. No false starts allowed in speed climbing. They're both quick through the middle section, but Solsa already got a body length lead, and she's going to take it in 9.87.
Solsa really showing her speed experience there. Janja Garnbret just tried to get her for a clean run, realistically. Solsa was the quicker going into this speed round.
Just a quick note on how the overall rankings work. You get a ranking from each discipline. So if, for example, you're second in the speed, third in the bouldering, and first in the lead, your overall score is 2, you're second from the speed, multiplied by 3, you're third from the bouldering, multiplied by 1 in the lead. So your overall score would be 6. Maths could get quite complicated today, so I thought I'd set myself up with an easy start. But that's how the ranking works. It's your ranking from each discipline multiplied by your ranking from the other ones.
You can really tell that both of these athletes have been training the speed a lot, because they've really clean technique all the way up the wall, hitting the points pretty cleanly, each hold pretty smoothly. Kia Noguchi is definitely someone who's been training the speed quite a bit.
Yeah, 10.548 from her in qualifiers, 10.010 from Petra Klingler, who is there closest to our camera. She's at the left end. There is Akio Noguchi. Petra Klingler and Akio Noguchi, both massively, vastly successful boulderers, who are seeing their times tumble on the speed wall. Just to give you a heads up right now, Jessie Piltz is the slowest loser, 11.06 for her. Janja Garnbret, 11.28. So Janja Garnbret is not going to progress as the slowest loser. The best she can hope for is 5th place in the speed competition. Jessie Piltz already quicker than her. Solsa and Miho Naka already through.
Ready?
Here's Petra Klingler on the left and Akio Noguchi on the right. Wasn't much to separate these two in qualifiers, and that is a false start from Akio Noguchi.
Heartbreak for Akio Noguchi. She was unsure for a little bit whether it was a full start or not. Didn't spot the red light flashing just up and left there. Did look like a false start, to be fair. I'm sure we'll see a slow-mo replay of that.
That's good news for Jessie Piltz, because really Akio Noguchi is a faster speed climber than her, so you'd imagine that Akio would have had a pretty good chance of going through as the fastest loser ahead of Jessie. But as it is, Jessie Piltz will go through 11.06. About 0.2 of a second quicker than Janja Garnbret means that Jessie Piltz goes through to the next round as our fastest loser. So it's going to be first race in the next round will be Miho Naka against Jessie Piltz, and then we'll have Solsa against Petra Klingler.
Just about see it in that angle. Akio's foot leaving the ground before Petra's. Like Charlie said earlier, one false start, you are out. There you see the results at the moment. It's going to be Miho Nanaka versus Jessie Piltz, Solsar versus Petra Klinger.
So the winner of these races will go through to what we call in speed climbing the big final. That's basically the playoff for first and second place in the rankings, and then the runner-up in these two races will go into the small final, and that'll decide third and fourth place.
It's going to be interesting for Petra though, because sometimes when your opponent does a false start, it means you don't get to run. Sometimes getting a run under your belt is actually quite nice. She does go through automatically, which obviously won't be disappointed with, but that does mean she hasn't had a run up the wall yet.
Yeah, but I think given the fact that there was only half a second separating them in the qualifiers, albeit with Petra being the slightly quicker climber, I think she'd probably take it on balance, but I think it's a valid point you make. She hasn't had a good run, but she would have had a pretty close run race with Akio Noguchi had it gone ahead as planned. But yeah, you make a good point. She hasn't had a run. She hasn't got that familiarity of the holds in her hands and the crowd cheering.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, there isn't any practice wall in the isolation zone for these athletes either. It's quite hard to get time on the wall, as it were.
This was Akio's false start. We can't see it against the clock. We can't hear the beeps, but you could see when we saw both climbers at the same time that she did go visibly ahead of Petra. Obviously, if you false start, you default that race to your opponent. That's what happened. So here comes Jessie Piltz and Miho Nanaka, just sharing a joke before they go on stage. Miho, the clear favourite, but actually only 1.2 seconds between these two in terms of time on their last races. Jessie Piltz was 11.06, Miho Nanaka was 9.85.
Well, we saw it in the women's speed final as well, a lot of big upsets in that with mistakes on the wall. It's very easy to slip when you're trying to go this fast. One slightly off foot placement and you're out of there.
So Janja Garnbret is going to come out of the speed climbing ranked 5th, and Akio Noguchi will come out ranked 6th. Realistically, I think being top 4 would have been represented a pretty good result for Janja. She would have expected to not get on too well with the speed climbing. She'll finish 5th. So now Miho Nanaka on the left and Jessie Piltz on the right, and that's a big slip from Miho Nanaka, and Jessie Piltz could be off to a dream start in the Olympic format combined. Miho Nanaka's closing her down, but Jessie Piltz is going to take it in 10.57.
Exactly what I was describing there, Charlie. The favourite gets knocked out by someone who came into this competition as the slowest qualifier. Jessie Piltz can't believe it. Miho Nanaka made a slip. Look how much it means to Jessie. She'll be going on to the next round and putting herself in a great position before the boulder in the lead.
Yeah, there's so many elements to think about with this Olympic format combined, but Jessie Piltz, along with Janja Garnbret, I think most people would accept is the strongest lead climb. It's between Jessie and Janja on that front. And they'd have been expecting to have ground to make up, but as it is, Jessie Piltz is going to come off the speed wall at worst ranked 2nd. That gives her a massive advantage already over Janja, who comes off ranked 5th.
Yeah, Miho just missed the starting 3rd foothold. Quite incredibly, really. Miho really close to reeling her in. So much is her speed on the wall. And I think Jessie's just realised how important that is.
Jessie must have felt her. Akio Noguchi, Miho Nanaka over her left shoulder, just reeling her in. I think if there'd been another 5 metres, Miho would have caught her, but Jessie just kept concentrating, kept climbing cleanly, didn't do anything daft, didn't take any big risks, brought it home. 10.57 to 10.96. So Jessie Piltz, as I say, with her strongest disciplines still to come, is in a wonderful position here. Sol Sat now on the left takes on Petra Klingler. We've got the men's format combined coming up for you this afternoon. For now, it's all about the women. And right now, it's all about Sol Sat and Petra Klingler on the speed wall, gunning for a place in the big final. They're both guaranteed at least 4th is their ranking in the speed climbing.
Ready?
Could be 1st for either of them. Looked like a quick start from Petra. It must have been close to a false start, but wasn't quite. She lost momentum low down. Sol Sat's climbing nice and cleanly, but then she has a minor stumble a bit higher up, but still takes it in 9.76. 10.60 for Petra.
too many times under the 10-second mark going through. Good clean run from Solskjaer. Petra almost went out the blocks with a bit too much power. Slight stumble, lost her sequence slightly in the middle.
You got to say Solskjaer so far been the standout performer. 9.87 for her in her first race, and then knocked just over a tenth of a second off it on the second race, 9.76. She's the only climber who in the last round, as we see there, went under 10 seconds, as Mike said. Miho Nanaka got a 10.96, 10.57 for Jessie Piltz, 10.60 for Petra Klingler, and 9.76 for Solskjaer.
Yeah, it was just the right foot move lower down. Petra just got in a little bit of a tangle. Good clean running from Solskjaer.
And this is a good insight to what could happen in the Olympics. We look at someone like Janja, immensely strong in the bouldering, crowned world champion there, immensely strong in the lead, narrowly missed out on the world championship. But if you have a bad day on the speed wall and your rival, like Jessie Piltz, just gets a few lucky breaks and takes advantage of them, suddenly you can be playing catch-up before you've even got onto your specialist disciplines.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not necessarily about how hard you train. Janja Garnbret could train on speed every day of the week until the Olympics and could have a good run, or equally could slip.
As we saw from Miho Nanaka, big slip. Jessie Piltz had a really good opportunity. There it is from Miho. Jessie had a great opportunity, kept it calm, kept it clean, and made the most of it. Congratulations to Jessie.
The margins in the speed are just so on edge the whole time. That was Petra's slip on the right foot. Got the leg sequence slightly wrong.
Of course, there is an element of luck. If for example, Jessie Piltz had been racing Miho Nanaka and Miho hadn't slipped, you'd have to say Miho would probably have taken it. But the key for Jessie was that she got that little break, she got an opening and made the most of it. It's one thing to get the lucky break, it's another thing to convert it.
Very quick rest here for Petra now, because she's going to come out into the small final against Miho Nanaka, having just raced. So they will give her a compulsory small rest. Each lane is a speed wall, 3 meters wide, 5 degrees overhanging. This wall is set for world records. Very unlikely to see one of those today. But this is the best overall climbers in the world, not the best speed climbers in the world.
So we're awaiting the arrival of Petra Klingler and Miho Nanaka, who are going to pair off against each other for third place. So both of them know they'll come off the speed wall with a worse result of fourth. That's frankly a pretty bad result for Miho Nanaka. She was the fastest qualifier, had the opportunity to go on to the boulder wall where she's so strong, and the lead wall where she's not too shabby either. In a very, very strong position. As it is, she's slightly playing catch-up regardless of what happens here.
Just a note of interest in the format, the fastest climber always goes on the left-hand lane. Slower climber on the right. Petra's been on the right every time that she's been out so far this time. Quick rest for Petra. Such is the format.
So Miho now on the left against Petra Klingler. So this for a third place ranking in the speed in this Olympic format combined. And it was a false start from Miho. So Petra Klingler's actually only had one run on the speed wall and she's in third place.
Miho makes another mistake. She slipped on the previous run, false starts on this run. Team Japan have had both their athletes false start now. Both get disqualified on the false start. She doesn't look too phased by it though.
Well, as I say, third was the best you could hope for there by that stage, Miho, but a false start. Well, this speed climbing has just blown it wide open and it's left climbers with a lot of catching up to do. Let's have a look at the false start. It was a pretty clear one. Left foot was level with her right knee by the time Petra set off. was it for Miho. So Petra Klingler raced against Sol Sa, came second in that one. It's the only time she's run the speed wall, ends up third. Frustration for Miho. Interesting that she didn't look too fussed about the whole thing. Either this is just a test out for her to see what the combined format feels like, or she'd already accepted that it wasn't her day on the speed wall, and third and fourth didn't really bother her either way.
Yeah, I think she's a particularly bubbly character anyway. Maybe the fact that she's carrying that relatively serious shoulder injury, she thinks, okay, at least that's one less time I have to go up the wall. Save the skin, save the shoulder. There's no medals on the line at this point. That lady there on the left-hand side has put herself in a ridiculous position going into the boulder and the lead. She was fourth in the bouldering earlier in the week, first in the lead. It's going to be tight, this one.
It is. Jessie Piltz on the left, Sol Sa on the right. Sol Sa been consistently under 10 seconds in qualifiers and her 2 races here. She is the favourite, but she could make a mistake. She could open the door for Jessie Piltz like Miho Nanaka did, but I don't think she's going to. Sol Sa's looking very clean, and she takes it in 9.27. 10.35 from Jessie Piltz, her fastest time of the day, and faster than her qualifying time by over a second and a half. But it's all about Sol Sa. 9.27, brilliant performance from her. She's measured her pace to perfection. 9.87 in her first race, 9.76 in her second, 9.27 in the big final. So Sol Sa leaves the speed wall ranked first.
Yeah, Sol Sa all the way through the speed competition, really clean runs. She's obviously been training it quite hard. Jessie Piltz actually came off, actually. You could see her just pumping the fist. Second place is really well done for her. And like you said, Charlie, just time's improving all the way.
Yeah, I mean, Jessie Piltz was in dreamland by being in the big final with the potential for first place. But if you'd said to Jessie Piltz before she came on the speed wall, second, she would disbelievingly have bitten your hand off, I'm sure. So brilliant start from her. Jessie Piltz second, but Sol Sa, the standout performer. She was all the way through that, you know, clean runs, no big mistakes, measuring her pace perfectly, doing what was required to win, and just progressing quietly into the big final. And then when the big moments arrived, climbing neatly, precisely. A real speed climbing connoisseur would notice a couple of slight inaccuracies in her foot placement, but they'll come with more and more practice. But if you're clocking time consistently well under 10 seconds, you're making good progress in the speed wall. And Sol Sa has got her combined format day off to a wonderful start. And that's what it means to Team South Korea. So Sol Sa, Jessie Piltz first and second, Petra Klingler third, Miho Nanaka fourth, Yanya Garnbrett fifth, and Akio Noguchi sixth. Remember the scores. Your score at the end of the day is your ranking from each discipline multiplied by your ranking from the other ones. So, for example, 1 times 4 times 5 could be your overall score. So every place, every ranking, absolutely vital. And Sol Sa has given herself a big advantage, and there we can see it. Won the final, the big final, 9.27 to Jessie Piltz's 10.35. Petra Klingler claimed third ahead of Miho Nanaka after a false start from Miho. So next up, it will be the bouldering wall. And as with the normal IFSC bouldering final, climbers have got 4 minutes each to attempt 4 boulders.
Yeah, in comparison to the speed, which has gone by in a flash of an eye, we're onto the bouldering, which will be a much slower, more detailed affair. 4 boulders, 4 really good-looking boulders as well.
Still got lead to come afterwards, but almost certainly, unless something absolutely extraordinary happens, the bouldering is going to be the longest time-wise event. And there is the bouldering wall, as yet covered in camouflage lighting. Mike Langley and I have been down to have a look at the boulders already, but they haven't yet been revealed to the public in the arena. You can't really see them in here when that camouflage lighting's on. And Christophe Bion, the IFSC technical delegate, is just briefing the climbers before they head out.
How brutal this format is, Charlie. Solsada has literally just come off from winning the speed wall. She might have had a chance to unbuckle her shoes, and she's walking out for boulder observation. This is a fascinating insight to what this Olympic combined format does to the athletes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you watch the Olympics and you watch power base or sprint sports, you watch the 100-meter final, and they interview the winner 5 minutes later, they're still panting. Solsada is fresh down from an explosive 10 seconds on the speed wall, which was preceded by 2 other explosive efforts on the speed wall, and now she's got to switch into bouldering. Climbers get 2 minutes to look at each boulder. They study them en masse, and they're allowed to touch the starting handholds, which are clearly denoted by the yellow tape. So there'll be 4 bits of tape to denote where your 4 limbs have to go at the start. They're allowed to touch the starting handhold, the starting hold, but no other holds. So even if there's a hold well within reach, they're not allowed to touch it. They can only look at it. 2 minutes to look at each boulder.
Just going back to that point about switching mindsets between the speed and then the boulder. Solsada's just gone down the steps, whipped her shoes off, put her trainers back on, has got to come out and do a discipline that is a polar opposite of speed, and just turn it back on. And this boulder observation is actually super important. They've got to figure out the moves. This is the first time that they've seen these climbs. Next time they come out, it'll be the first time they try to climb these climbs. It's so difficult just to jump between disciplines like that. And like you said, Charlie, lead is still to come. Kiyo Noguchi's got a bit of a question down there, asking one of the judges. Seems to be a slight technical incident.
Yeah, Francois, the judge, just calling on one of the route setting team, I'd imagine, in a very Parisian cafe style click of the fingers and beckoning.
Garçon.
Garçon, viens. Beckoning Lola Laporte on to make a minor tweak. Obviously, he didn't require much major surgery. Lola Laporte and a power drill. 10 seconds later, all is well again.
Yeah, I think there was just a screw sticking out on the volume slightly. Just needed nipping up. 2 minutes boulder observation. We move on to the next one now. Looking at a double-double dyno here. First one sort of conventional crimping with a bit of a flick out right mould, and number 2 described as a double-double. So it's 2 hand movements up to the red hold, and then 2 different hand movements without pausing into the yellow hold. Right hand into the dish with a slight additional screw on, left hand catch on a side pull undercut, and into a sort of mantle up finish.
Mike, generally, every time we've been on the mats, we've thought, these look hard, and then everyone's cruised them, or, oh, these look quite straightforward, and then they've stopped everyone in their tracks. But your expert reading as a route setter, bear in mind, even the route setters who set these boulders are basically guessing at whether they're the right level of difficulty, but your reading was that most of these boulders would be topped reasonably quickly.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about boulder number 3 on the slab, because those are so hard to tell if you can stand on. The volumes are not really friction dependent, depends what your shoes you've got on, how warm it is, how clean the mats are, etc.
But there's certainly the steeper boulders.
Yeah, steeper boulders, boulder number 1, 2, and 4 will be much more up these climbers' street, I think.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point you make on the slab. The micro differences in movement and body position are such that it's really hard to read whether a slab is as difficult as it looks. But certainly, yeah, these power boulders, which is 1, 2, and 4, all look more than possible for climbers of this caliber. Climbers will be coming in reverse order to the speed, so while Solsada will have been pretty rushed getting from the speed wall to boulder observation, she will have the longest rest before she climbs. She'll be the last climber onto the boulder wall, and Kiyo Noguchi, who is ranked 6th in the speed, will be the first climber onto the boulders.
In the blue hoodie there, Janja Garnbret, Team Slovenia. I think she'll be pretty glad to get the speed out of the way, to be honest. Now she can start putting some of the power down. Arguably the best climber in the world will now be on the disciplines that she prefers. Looking very relaxed at this stage.
You've got to be an optimist in life. Janja Garnbret might have hoped for a good result in speed climbing, but realistically she knew that she could well come out of that with a ranking of 5 or 6. It was probably the most likely outcome, and so it proved 5th place for her. She knew that she'd have catching up to do when she got onto the boulders and the lead wall.
I wonder if she's disappointed in any way. You know, like you say, she probably knew that that was going to be her result. I wonder if it does affect her psychology as she goes through. See here, women's free, starting on the red volume and the blue volume below, and then 3 identical red triangles with variations of the additional screw-ons on them. Hard stand-up moves, a lot of conventional slab climbing to begin with, big step-through move, really trusting the shoe rubber, a lot of smears, and then a bit of a pop out to the left. We'll see it shortly. There's a blue hold out on left, and a finishing jug. Just about to see the wall there, 3 degrees slabby.
Yeah, 87 degrees this wall. When you first look at it, you don't actually realise it's a slab, but when you go around the side, you can just about make out that 3-degree tilt. Petra and Janja, the 2 most recently crowned boulder world champions, Petra in 2016 and Janja earlier this week here in the Olympia World in 2018. Just comparing notes. Bit of a tricky one to observe, this boulder, because until you pull on, you are just guessing how it might feel.
Yeah.
The method is, we believe, relatively straightforward.
Yeah, but a very committing step-through move that might be hard to definitely be hard to read, because we couldn't read it like that. It's only the route setter's description. Yeah, really teetering on the slab. On to women's number 4 then. Black holds, obviously the yellow zone hold, as per every boulder here in Innsbruck. On these volcano holds, big slopey pockets. A lot more power involved in this one. There's a tiny screw-on undercut in the top of that set of volumes. Just about to see a thumb catch at the bottom, then there's a tiny undercut screw-on, which is the penultimate hold before going up to the sort of cluster finish hold.
For those of you just switching on, welcome to Innsbruck. Olympic format combined final here to determine the combined world champion from Innsbruck of 2018. 6 of the strongest female climbers in the world currently observing the boulders. Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley here talking you through it. And we've already had the speed climbing competition. Sol Sat came out of that on top. Jessie Piltz was 2nd, Petra Klingler 3rd, Miho Nanaka 4th, Janja Garnbret 5th, and Akio Noguchi, having false started in her first race, is 6th. The sponsor stickers on Miho Nanaka. We had 1 or 2 questions about whether they're tattoos. Tattoos very frowned upon in Japanese society, especially on commonly visible parts of the body. So, no, they're not tattoos. It is stickers, and that is strapping on her right shoulder. She's carrying an injury. I asked one of the Japanese coaches on Friday evening after the bouldering final how bad the injury was. And they were downplaying it, but given the fact that she was visibly struggling with it in the bouldering and immediately got it iced up when she got off the wall, I suspect they were slightly sandbagging me. But certainly good enough for her to compete, but I wasn't entirely convinced when he brushed it off as a minor tweak. And there we can see the ranking as it stands, so the climbers will come out onto the boulders in reverse order of that. Akio Noguchi will be first, then Janja, Miho, Petra, Jessie and Sol Sat out last.
Looking at the boulder final results, first 2 climbers out are going to be the first 2 place climbers after the bouldering. So Akio will be first. She came 2nd in the bouldering earlier on in the week. Janja will be out 2nd, and she took away the gold medal. So it's going to give us an early indicator into these boulders.
Here is our bouldering wall, 18 metres wide, 4.5 metres high. And this is the slab we talked about, 3 degrees off vertical, then it kicks into 13 degrees overhanging. The bulk of the wall's 20 degrees overhanging and 35. The steepest section is down on the bottom left, 2.15 metre protrusion from base to top on the left-hand side.
So traditionally in bouldering, we see the strongest boulderer, in theory, come out last. As I just said, in theory, the strongest boulderers in the world could be coming out first. It's going to be interesting to see, because coming out early could be an advantage here, and the strongest climbers are coming out early also. friction on the holds, chalk build-up, dust build-up on the mats. It all could play into the hands of Yanya and Akio here.
Yeah, that list shows Yanya coming out first. According to what we're being told, it'll be Akio coming out first. We shall see. All we do know is all 6 will compete on all 4 boulders, and they have 4 minutes to attempt each boulder. It's 4 minutes flat, of course. If you're timed out when you're a centimetre away from the top hold, it doesn't count to the top. You've got to get to the top, match it, and the judges to award the top in the space of 4 minutes. And we're just watching on the big screen some highlights of Yanya Garmeret's highly emotional win in the bouldering competition earlier this week. This, of course, is the boulder element of the combined final.
This is boulder number 1 then. Big collection of footholds at the bottom, some drastically bad crimps, and then a jump into an undercut jug. It is a huge jug. Working your way up to the right, little intermediate with your left hand and into a half-decent finish hold.
Yeah, the jump out to the right on the zone, the hold you're going for, the undercling, is absolutely enormous. So the question really will be is, when you stab your right foot out, how much can you get out of it? Can you just stop your momentum? Because I think if you can, that move won't prove too troublesome.
Definitely be a catch where the left hand rips off as well. Yeah, really bad. Sideways screw-on, side pulls, facing the wrong way to oppose against the jug. Chances are it'll be a one-hander lander in the undercut jug, bit of a rotation. Looking forward to this women's combined boulder final.
Yeah, after this they'll go onto the lead wall, and we've got a pretty spectacular lead route to come. Jan Zabranek of the Czech Republic is our chief lead route setter, and Manu Hassler of Switzerland the chief boulder route setter. It looks like they've both provided us with quite a show. There is the wall, once again camouflage with the lighting system here in the Olympia World. Here comes Akio Noguchi, just waiting for her cue, and there she comes. So as I say, there's initially looked on the graphics as if Yanya Garmeret would be coming out first, but as we originally suspected, it will be Akio Noguchi. 6th place for her in the speed. Bit of a disappointing result, all things considered. Qualified 4th for the speed climbing, but only could turn that into 6th in the final. So 4 minutes begins for Akio. She is the 4-time overall Boulder World Cup champion. She's never won a world championship. If you're new to IFSC viewing, we have half a dozen or so Boulder lead and speed World Cups across the season, but then once every 2 years, we have a World Championship, a standalone event. It's arguably the most coveted prize in climbing. So Akio, 4 times an overall season champion, but never won a World Championship. We've actually got 2 World Championships in the space of 2 years. We'll be off to her home city of Tokyo in 2019, so she'll have another shot then. But to be the first Olympic format combined world champion wouldn't be too bad a result here in Innsbruck.
Just the first jump out to the right, and just got to watch the Austria climbing sign there with her foot. Been a bit of a feature this week.
Yeah, we had
get ready for social media to explode about that one.
Yeah, 1 or 2 issues with badly placed advertising signs. So that was her first jump out.
Yeah, interestingly, she tried to jump by crossing the left hand under, due to the fact that her right hand was the furthest, well, the closest hold to that jump. Quite a similar start to what we saw in the men's competition last night. Obviously completely different holds, but a stand up and a left toe hook before moving out right. There you can see the first toe. Quite nice here as she bumps the left toe up one more time. Let's see what she does on the jump this time. Quite a few foot options there. Tiny little undercut for her left hand to help her move the feet. Nice little sequence. Goes again with the left hand. Interesting to see if that works for her. It is a good hold, so it could work. Predictions were that the athletes would just bop again with the right hand.
I mentioned earlier about the foothold you land on with the right, Mike. There's clearly not much there because you have to instantly solidify your position. There's clearly no chance to get it back if you don't get that left hand absolutely perfect, and ideally the right with it.
Yeah, really got to drive that right foot through the volume. Steps through again with the left. Tries to go right hand this time. Just fumbles it a little bit. It's good to see her trying a slightly different method. close.
Yeah, went right hand only that time. So, you see Akio Noguchi asking for the crowd to get behind it. Generally, we do see her making progress on boulders. She always learns with every attempt, generally gets closer every time. Now she pulls back on the wall with 1 minute 15 to go. Such a vastly experienced climber, Akio, and this time she lands with the right hand 60 times on a World Cup podium and 4 times on a World Championship podium. Could she become the first Olympic combined format world champion? Just needs to figure out how to go up to this blue hole. It's not that good a hold, although in the hands of Akio Noguchi it looks a pretty decent hole. She's got a tiny little crimp for her left hand to help her onto the top, and again the top hold not great, but good enough for a climber of Akio's caliber. She finds the top with 40 seconds to spare.
Great work from Akio Noguchi, really showing her class. Tried a couple of methods, tried the right hand method once, got really close, stepped back, asked the crowd to give her some support. Let's have another look at the jump. Little leg flick on the right, hit it with power, really flat-footed the volume on the right from maximum rubber contact, and did well here to go off the left hand as it was, really twisted around the wrong way. Hit the finish hold off a really bad side pull foothold. Good work from Akio.
Remember, in bouldering there are 4 boulders. The most important measurement of the climber's performance is how many tops they get. We then, if they're tied, come down to how many of the zones they got. Each boulder's got a very clearly marked zone hold midway along it. If they're still tied, it comes down to attempts to top, and the final way we separate the climbers is attempt to zones. Here's Janja Garnbret. Perhaps unsurprisingly, not a great result on the speed wall. She might have been hoping for a few lucky breaks, but sadly didn't get them, and comes on to the boulders in 5th place. But she is the bouldering champion here in Innsbruck. She absolutely dominated the last Boulder World Cup of 2018 in Munich, and didn't quite look happy on that crimp with the left hand.
Yeah, she went dynamically up to the first crimp, but you can see her just flicking the left fingers off there. I don't think she's potentially warmed up the crimps of that magnitude of smallness in the warm-up zone. And sometimes you just got to recruit the fingers a little bit, get them warmed up, ready for this level of hold. Savage bit of crimping on this one. Bumps the right foot up, slightly different sequence to Akio. Matches and jumps out, easily holds the rotation. Janja Garnbret, that's exactly what she's famous for. Letting the body rotate, holding the hold with one hand.
Akio got this boulder on her 4th go. This is only Janja's 2nd, and she looks to be in Janja Garnbret cruise control mode. Goes up with the right hand. Akio went with the left, and I thought she was going to peel off, but as it was, she was just turning to face the crowd as she topped.
Just let the body rotate round. We've seen that time and time again from Janja. Have to argue, easily the best boulder in the world currently. Double match on the little crimp, using the left toe hook.
I love the way the body fires out round to the right. She almost looked bored, waiting for it to swing back to the left. Yeah, all right, when's this left leg coming back in? Let's get this done. And there we go again. Not a care in the world, got it 2nd go. I suppose the only thing separating Janja Garnbret from perfection on that boulder was that she didn't get it 1st go.
Yeah, I think she might be kicking herself that she didn't get it 1st go. She didn't look quite warmed up enough. That time she does come off and just hold the stomach region there. I think a couple of those rotations, again, could be a warming up issue, or the fact that they've been battling all week here.
Now here's a woman who might have expected to come on here in 1st place, given her performance in the speed qualifying, but she couldn't convert that into a good result on the speed wall and comes in 4th place.
Yeah, if there's ever going to be an indicator of how bad this shoulder injury, jumping out to a one-handed right hold with an injured right shoulder will definitely give us a good idea of how bad it is. Jumps up to the crimp, same as Janja. Saw Akio going statically up to that. Again, those crimps bite. Bite on the skin, bite on the tendons. Quite a snatchy move if you try and go quickly and drop the left toe hook in.
So here goes Mio up to the crimps just described. What do you describe them as, Mike? Hideously bad? Hideously small? put it this way, they only meet the definition of a handhold to a very small number of climbers.
Yeah, bad footholds to most climbers. There's been a fair amount of talk about the boulders here in Innsbruck, inevitably the amount of dynos, amount of dynamic moves. Say there is a dynamic move on this one, but it does have some conventional crimping building up to it. That's not all just about the circus here currently in the women's competition. See her suffering on those crimps. If she did have thin skin, this is really not going to be helping. Just firing off these hideously bad crimps time and time again. You can see it there, a bit of an explosion. Felt that one from back here.
Yeah, that's how you injure your finger, isn't it? Dry firing off a hold like that.
Twice ripping off that. Mia's got to think about her skin here. She came out with the fingers taped for the speed. Actually, the contact with the fingers is not so important in the speed. On this one, all the tapes come off. She's not quite finding a sweet spot for the left toe hook at the moment. The leg's just searching for it a touch.
I think the other thing is, if she is carrying that right shoulder injury, which despite the reassurances of the unconvincing reassurances of the Japanese coach, you'd suspect she is. Even though it's not a particularly shoulder-intensive move, hanging on with that right hand, you still can't get 100% out of it and lock your body securely using that right-hand side.
Well, potentially your mind won't allow you to give 100% as well, if that's playing on her mind.
Well, as anyone knows who's had a shoulder injury, I remember when I blew my shoulder, even when physically you've been told you're fine, you just subconsciously can't quite give moves everything you want. So you're getting a bit frustrated here.
Interesting combination move here, because you can't hold the left-hand Gaston without the toe hook sticking, and Miho's just not finding the toe hook at the right time. Does hit the volume, but it's a second after she hits the crimp. Need to hit them both at the same time.
1 minute to go for Miho Nanaka.
Just see, when she has another go, her left leg is slightly delayed before it comes to toe hooks, the blue volume. Her skin is going to be suffering as well.
Crowd really getting behind her now. They know she didn't convert her opportunity on the speed wall. If she wants to stay in this competition, she needs to go really well on the bouldering wall. And right now, she's not getting off to a great start and decides against a further attempt. Well, I suspect that injury causing Miho a few problems. She definitely didn't get on with the boulder regardless of the injury, but it would be a shame for the show if she wasn't able to give everything she had.
Just see that the toe hook does come, but it comes a little bit too late. I think realistically, Miho is off her best pace going by her 2018 standards.
You can see there, Yanya Garma at one top, one zone. Required 2 attempts to get the progress meter over on the right-hand side. The 4 quarters of the circle denotes how many of the boulders they've completed. Of course, the top 3 climbers have completed just 1 boulder. Here is the 2016 bouldering world champion, Petra Klingler. She's just waiting for her intro from the MC. Here she comes. 4 minutes will begin for her. 3rd on the speed wall again, and I think she probably have taken that before she got on the speed wall. That's where she qualified, and it leaves her not out in front perhaps, but certainly not playing catch up too much. No doubt that bouldering is still her strongest discipline, but she's such an all-rounder, Petra, that she could do with a good performance here. Stabbing up with the left hand again.
See quite a lot of taping on the right hand finger there, second finger for Petra. Skin conditions are going to be so vital all the way through this competition. It's a factor that's really hard to add into the route setting difficulty, skin conditions. Talked about it, there's quite a lot of blood in the women's boulder final.
Yeah, as I said at the time, the route setters extracted their pound of flesh from the climbers, and I don't think Petra is going to manage to do that if she doesn't use that left foot somehow. If it's just swinging around underneath you, it's not going to give you enough support.
Yeah, arguably the 2 best boulders in the world are Kia Noguchi and Yanya Garnbrett, who came out first. Made that boulder and that move in particular look quite easy.
Yeah.
Certainly isn't, though.
No, it's not. Akio got the boulder on her 4th go. Yanya got it on her 2nd go. And Miho couldn't even get the zone. So, not an easy boulder by any means. To be honest, the way she's been going in 2018, the measure of a hard boulder is that Yanya can't do it 1st go. And you can see now the difficulty that's being caused to climbers of the caliber of Petra Klingler. 2:20 left now.
Getting closer on that move. The interesting thing, I would say, Charlie, about crimp moves is that sometimes with a crimp, you can either hold it or you can't. And you're either strong enough to hold a crimp or you're not. A lot of boulders, you can make progress by improving on the body movements, figuring out a new position. But if it comes down to just the raw pulling on a hold, sometimes you're just not strong enough to pull on it.
Well, it's the old British climbing theory that there's only 2 grades, them you can do and them you can't. And I know exactly what you mean, but I think what you see there is Petra did learn, she did improve her body position.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say, but this move is a combination between crimping and movement, which makes it really fascinating. Saw Akio stepping through here, but Yanya went from this position. Petra does go from the, without moving the feet along, just jumps through it and comes up short.
No, it's definitely, it's an interesting point you make, Mike, and you saw there, it looked like Petra wasn't strong enough to hold the hold. We know from having watched her for years, and then when she found that body position, she locked onto it. The problem is, now that with fatigue kicking in and skin being an issue, can she replicate it?
I think sometimes on crimps as well, we call it sort of recruiting into a crimp. The first time you pull on it, you think there's no way on earth you can actually get there. And as the body sort of starts to adapt, all of a sudden the fingers start enjoying the crimp. Hits it perfectly for a 2nd time. Now she starts to move the feet. Goes right foot up, same as Yanya. Eyeing up the jump.
Oh, that's big for Petra Klingler. She just looks over at the clock and then I think just relaxed slightly, possibly thought she was running out of time. She isn't running out of time, but she almost certainly won't have enough time for another really good go if this one doesn't work out. Now up to that crimp with the left hand. Will she go with the left or will she go with the right? She'll go with the left. And that was touch and go for a 2nd. But she found the top with 15 seconds to go.
No one more surprised than Petra that she stuck that. Can't believe she did the jump. When she went up to the right hand, she was barely holding on. And she's definitely barely holding on to the finish hold. Let's have another look.
Let's have a look, yeah. Stabbed out with the right. Looked pretty solid on the jump that time, and you could see that slightly panicked look across at the clock. She'll have been relieved to see that at that stage there was about 35 seconds left on it. And touch and go as she went for the top, but once the swing stopped, I think she knew at about there that she was going to get it done.
How did she hold that? She
well,
lost the left foot, lost the right hand, and still held on.
Sheer grit and determination. I think knowing it's the last few hours of your World Championships just gives you that extra bit. And there we see it, the boulder topped by 3 climbers. So far, Yanya Garnbrett got it done the fastest. Here comes Jessie Piltz. A result on the speed wall she probably didn't dare to dream about. 2nd place there puts her in a really strong position coming onto the boulders now. If she can get this one done quickly, we have really got a battle on our hands. That was brilliant for Petra Klingler. One of the best moment for me of today when she turned and grinned at the crowd.
Yeah.
Sheer relief, sheer happiness, reminiscent of when she found the method she'd been looking for on the boulder in 2016 to win her World Championship, and turned and grinned at the crowd. Another moment like that from Petra here, 2018 in Innsbruck. So Jessie's not going to get the boulder done 1st go. She's already pulled on and had a quick go, a slightly abortive attempt.
Yeah, like we said, Charlie, it's not just about pulling hard on the crimps here. It's about finding the method with the toe catch as well. Start to see this move a lot in the modern style of route setting. A timing element combined with a really hard move. Years gone by, it would have just been a hard move or a timing element. Nowadays, you've got to do both at the same time. Timing element up to a set of bag crimps, into a modern style jump, into some really hard pinching and crimping. This boulder has a touch of everybody's style, hopefully.
And what we've seen is an example of what we were talking about earlier. We can stand underneath the boulder and go, that underclaim they're going for is pretty good, and yeah, the foot looks okay. Until you pull on, you just don't know. And the micro differences in angle of the hold, distance apart, the angle at which your feet are in relation to your hands, they all make a big difference. And this boulder's caused more problems than when we were down on the mats we might have thought it would.
Yeah, what's quite nice about this boulder as well is sometimes like a jump or a parkour style move is usually the hardest move on the boulder, but this one it seems to be the first move, combined with the endurance to tick the entire boulder is the hardest element of it. The jump is just an element rather than the hardest bit.
It's not a one-move wonder boulder, that's for sure. It's a really well-set boulder, actually, because it tests so many things. It tests your raw horsepower, the ability to hang on to terrible holds, but then your coordination and a powerful big slap at the top. So there's a lot of skills, both in terms of your sheer physical strength and your coordination tested on this boulder. Who'd be a coach?
Enjoying the tunes there.
Jessie Piltz already, regardless of what happens here, the fabulous World Championships. Final in the bouldering, champion in the lead. Here she is in the combined.
Jessie just trying something completely different there. She's really not liking the left-hand toe catch, but the way that those holds are facing, she'll do really well to make anything else work. Just trying to bring the left foot up and just smear it on the volume, dropping the left knee a little bit to try and find the body position. I have to say, she has to be hideously strong on the right-hand crimp to even get a leg that high. Maybe she'll go back to trying a different option now. You can see her improving on the crimp strength on the right-hand side as the time goes on this boulder. Does go back to her original method, makes it work.
Problem is now, with just over 40 seconds remaining, she's just getting her first look at the jump. She's going to need to execute it perfectly first time, or if she doesn't quite manage it, drop back onto the mats and immediately try again after no rest. So you'd have thought that this is it for Jessie Piltz. Thinking about doing it statically, I thought, for a second there. Have to commit at some stage, and does. 20 seconds to go, like Petra, she glanced over at the clock and she will have been relieved at what she saw. She's got enough time to figure these moves out, doesn't need to do anything rash. 10 seconds is enough here, and she just couldn't quite land that left hand.
Heartbreak for Jessie there. I would have bet my mortgage she wasn't about to do that jump. She looked absolutely nowhere near that move and then just levitated sideways and just about held the jug. Really disappointing she didn't do the top move. Let's have another look. Went foot first more than anything else and then held it. It is a good hold, but she did incredibly well there. Really impressed.
Good angle on the hold there. You can see how big it is by the standards of World Cups and World Championship finals, but I have to say, it looked like she slightly rushed Jessie, and she had 20 seconds. That's more than enough time to bring that one home.
Yeah, I think the fact that the crowd all of a sudden got behind her, they sort of got the loud clap going. I think all of a sudden it might have seemed like she was a lot shorter of time than she actually was.
Yeah, she had about 8 seconds to spare. It doesn't sound like a lot of time, but all she had to do was latch that left hand and then set herself and execute the final move, and it was enough time. But as it was, Jessie Piltz, she got the zone but not the top, as you see on the graphics there. So here's Solsa coming onto the boulders, ranked in first place, got a big smile on her face, and as well she might, bouldering her strongest discipline, and she comes on ranked first, and she was actually looking at the boulder a little too early. You cannot wipe the smile off Solsa's face today. Delighted to be in the combined final to start with. It gets off to a dream start on the speed, and next up's her favourite discipline. She's having a very good morning here in Innsbruck.
Yeah, she's having a very good morning on a very good opening boulder. Cruises that first rollover move. Solsa is absolutely crushing those crimps at the moment. Let's see how she gets on the jump. Doesn't move the toe hook out, goes straight and through. We're seeing other climbers dropping down to a little sort of undercut with the left hand just to move the feet. Tries to go from the far left-hand side. Fires out from there. She got pretty close, actually. I think she almost overshot the hold and missed the sweet spot in the middle.
They are tattoos, by the way. Earlier on, we were talking about Neo and Naka. That is a tattoo on Solsa. I'm not sure, actually, what the social etiquette dictates in South Korea as regards tattoos, but yeah, they're not sponsor tapes like they are with Miho.
How comfortably she fits into that position lower down. This time she uses the little undercut. Wonder if she'll work to release the left toe before jumping this time, but she has got a right foot where other climbers have had their left foot. Just bumps it across a little bit to the right hand side, now jumps, just comes up short again. She's getting the two hands across quite easily. It looks a little bit stretched as she hits the right foot. She's looking, apart from Yanya, really the most comfortable on the crimps at the bottom. Just hits the undercut a little bit low, and as a lot of climbers will know, the higher you are up on an undercut, the better it becomes. The more stretched you are on an undercut, makes it more and more difficult. Fingers just peeling away there. Puff of chalk out the chalk bag as she fires off.
Solsat shaking out again. Not been in a World Cup final this season and never been on a World Cup or World Championship podium. Is today the day for Solsat? If she wants to keep that momentum going that she brought off the speed wall, she needs a top here. Crowd getting behind her now, jumps out to the right. She's a bit pretty well wide of the hold there on the jump right.
Yeah, she's not looking too confident on this jump, I have to say. 3 times she's gone across there, 3 times that are very close to being identical. She does seem to be a little bit further too far right, actually, I have to say.
Yeah,
missing the sweet spot in the middle.
Obviously the sweet spot on this big hole is right in the middle. It's not a particularly subtle or hard to spot sweet spot, but she, yeah, just right of it, as you say, Mike. So Solsat pulling on it again on the crimps.
Yeah, starting to power out a little bit now on the crimps. Multiple attempts on those really hard moves.
You really can't understate what a huge opportunity she has here. What's Anya doing there? Really can't understate what an opportunity she has by coming into the boulders first off the speed wall. She could still make amends, of course. It is only boulder 1, but a top would come in very handy. Now she latches the right hand, and as with Petra, as with Jessie, glances across to the clock. She's got time. She still doesn't need to rush. 10 seconds is more than enough to bring this one home. Solsat just rushed that top move.
Couldn't believe it. Maybe she rushed again. Surely she had it in the bag. She moved her foot up really high onto the volume, got really punched. The coaches can't believe it. How did she fall off of that?
Well, Mike, it looked to me as if she went too high. That hold's pretty good when you're hanging underneath it, but if it's in front of your face, you just peel backwards off the wall. You need to be right underneath it, and Solsat went with so much power and so much force. It looked to me as if she ended up far too high in the hold and just couldn't pull down on it.
Yeah, she was almost coming back down onto it.
You need to land that really with a straight arm, if at all possible, and then hang directly underneath it. And you could see it was almost in front of her face.
Yeah, a bit too much force going up to the finish hold. She gave it a bit too much, almost.
Whether you go with the left or the right hand, what you need to do is just slap one really solidly with a straight arm and then bring across the other to match it. So Solsat can't quite find a top. Slight missed opportunity there for her after some good work. She had 4 minutes to figure that one out, made progress, got herself in position to top with a few seconds to spare, didn't quite convert it. As it is, she comes off the boulder in 4th place. Worth remembering with Solsat, we were saying her favourite discipline is lead. Was Asian youth is boulder. She was Asian youth champion in lead back in 2012 and speed. So it's not the end of the world not topping that boulder, but if she'd come out first off the speed wall and then found a top on boulder 1, Solsat would have been looking in a very strong position. 3 boulders still to go. That was Yanya Garnbrett.
Yeah, Yanya's the only climber crossed through off that top crimp, hit the top hold with her right hand. The other climbers did hit it straight arms with the left arm. We saw Petra's fine top. Have a look at that, hits it dead straight. Best technique for a slope is to hang as much underneath, directly underneath it as possible. Maximum contact.
That was Jessie perhaps slightly rushing Solsat. That was one of her abortive attempts on the jump. Oh, and she will rue that one when she sees it back. All not lost, though. As I say, 3 boulders still to go. And, still got the lead in the provisional combined rankings. Don't read too much into that, though, until the bouldering is concluded. And here's boulder 2.
Boulder number 2 then starts on the red volumes into a double dyno, followed by another two-handed movement. A double-double, 2 hands into the first red hold, and 2 hands into the zone hold. 1 hand on into the middle of the zone hold, and 1 hand as an undercut, and a decent edge out on the right, and a sort of mantled up in the zone hold to finish. Rolling over potentially with the right hand to the finish hold, which has got a little additional thumb catch on it.
If you're new to climbing, I'll just translate that about the first move. You're more or less going to go from the starting holds to the massive yellow one without stopping.
Yeah, jump up 2 hands to the red hold, and without pausing, jump both those hands again out to the yellow hold. That's how it was described to us anyway.
Well, there's so much that goes into a move like this, because obviously you need the raw power. I mean, not many people would be able to jump from that hole to the red one, but you also need to get the timing absolutely right. All limbs got to be working in unison to get the timing absolutely perfect so that you arrive on the yellow hold with your body in the position you want it to be in.
Yeah, you can see there it's not the world's best starting hold either. Interestingly of note, that left-hand red hold was the same sort of hold that they used in the men's competition to create a similar style move.
Interestingly there with the Kyo, both hands landing absolutely in unison again that time. You wonder if perhaps the right hand arriving a split second before and then the left hand just catching the momentum might be a possible method.
Let's have another look, a close look at what's going on here. Just slightly over the top of the little additional hold inside the volume there. These moves, it's so hard to know where to focus. Do you look at the red hold, or do you look at the undercut on the left?
Instantly look at her fingertips of Kyo Noguchi. People having no skin left after a hard 10 days in Innsbruck is a bit of a recurring theme here. We hope it doesn't really dictate the outcome here. But
yeah, but these moves are absolutely shredders.
They are, yeah. Peeling off that volume is not doing sore fingertips any good. She looked marginally closer there at Kyo. As I say, I wonder if there's possible gain to be made with a slight improvement in the timing, slight change in the timing.
I've seen it time and time again with Kyo though. She always improves on dynos. Very rarely would do a move like this quite quickly. Just starts to recalculate as her attempts go on.
Yeah, she doesn't often plateau on a move. She kind of keeps making progress. And
slightly slowing it down that time. You can tell by the way that she fell off. Minimal pause. I think it's that left-hand undercut on the zone hold that's just quite a bad hold.
and that time a completely different method. Tried to go with the left hand and then pop the right hand down. Definitely you could see what she was thinking. See it again. That was one of the earlier attempts actually. Was this the most recent one? No, that was the one before, I think.
Getting close, but I think Akia's running out of power here a little bit. Certainly will be running out of skin very shortly if she carries on like that.
Yeah, I wonder if Kyo might be thinking in not too long that with 2 hard boulders and a lead route still to come, maybe it's time to live and fight another day instead of persisting with this boulder and just shredding herself.
She is close though, and she knows she's close. That's why I think she's still flogging herself on this boulder. Have another look. Double tap, classic move.
Of course, she's got to also make the calculation of how much energy and skin she wants to spend on this, but also think, well, is anyone else going to do this? Because being first climber out, you don't know if anyone else is going to do it.
Yeah.
If you were the last climber out and no one's done it and your skin's beginning to hurt and you're running out of energy, you can think to yourself, well, no one else did it, so whilst I'd like to do it, it might not be worth completely destroying myself. Kyo doesn't have the benefit of that knowledge.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because she can look up at the big screen. Later climbers can definitely look up at the big screen and decide what's going on, but I think someone like Yanya's caliber coming out amazing at the jump, she knows that she's close to it, so other climbers would have a really good shout at it. She has run out of time, unfortunately. See her shaking the head, disappointed with that. Lost a lot of skin for no gain.
So no top and no zone there. There's Yuka Kobayashi manning the iPad. Very successful competition boulderer herself, turned coach.
Number of times not quite finding the sweet spot on that, but I think it's actually just a really hard jump.
There's Yanya Garnbret, she's leading the way after that first boulder and Akio's attempt on boulder 2. Here comes Yanya.
Yeah, we just said if anyone's going to be a jump specialist, it's going to be Yanya. We saw that in the final of the bouldering.
No question marks over her power, no question marks over her innate climbing ability. Can she find the timing on this one? It's a boulder that's going to require a lot of attempts for most climbers, but not for Yanya. That's her first go. She almost stopped on the red hold. You could see her calculating mid-swing. Can I actually stop here? As it is, she carried on. She's been on the stage for 28 seconds and she's top boulder 2.
Yanya Garnbret floats like a butterfly, stings like a bee on a dyno once again. Absolutely incredible. She doubled to the red, like you said, Charlie, paused. I reckon she could have held it before. I better double down just for the crowd anyway. Goes up to the top hold and she nearly peeled off the finish hold. Had to do one of her classic Yanya style spins on the final hold. She was actually trying quite hard there. You could see it on the face.
Actually, with hindsight, seeing it from that angle, I don't think she was contemplating stopping on the red. She never took her eyes off the yellow hold.
No, she really did use it though. She pulled on it quite hard, and that gave her a bit of height to double up and pull towards the right. Let's have a look at the finish hold. Just a little thumb catch on there. The route has added it. The right leg with a massive air flag up into the air to try and help her get the body position. Yanya Garnbret, once again, has blown us all away with an incredible flash.
It's been funny, we've had cameras on all the coaching teams this week, and every evening when I've seen the Slovenians, one of them said, okay, let me guess, were we on the stream again? Yeah. We make fools of ourselves jumping around and cheering? Afraid so, yeah. The raw emotion of sport's been visible all week here in Innsbruck. Here is Miona Naka, 4th place for her on the speed wall. Time gets underway. She couldn't find anything on the first boulder. Actually, she was the only climber that didn't even get a zone on the first boulder, so work to be done. Somewhat unsurprisingly, Yanya Garnbret didn't do that well on the speed wall, and somewhat unsurprisingly, she's absolutely smashing these boulders in, so Miho's got catching up to do on 2 fronts and doesn't manage to get that jump done first time.
What we saw there from Yanya is the way that she hit the red hold, slightest pause meant she actually got to pull on it quite hard, which gained her a little bit of height. Any diehards can remember back to the men's final main of the big dyno there. It was all about gaining height off one of the volumes in the transition down to the hold. Hit it, pull on it, gain a little bit of height, and then carry on sideways.
I think really that's the big step up for people to try and comprehend from their own climbing to this level. As we watch Miho try again, and she's not far off, similar method to Yanya. It's the hard thing for people to comprehend is, yeah, when you go to the climbing wall, you do hard moves, but it's successive hard moves with such a timing element added. There's so much coordination going on at this level that perhaps recreational climbers, which I would firmly include myself, can't quite get their head round. But if you ever go to a gym and try and do these kinds of moves where you've got so many things to think about, you've got to think what each limb is doing at every second, you really begin to understand how much skill goes into these boulders. And I thought Miho was going to hand that on one hand. That right hand, there is a little screw-on jib just to give you a little bit. There you can see it. Her right hand lands on it. I thought she was going to hang it.
Yeah, the left hand ripped. She almost held it with the one arm. Paused for nearly a second or so, I would say there.
Yeah, crucially, I think she just shifted a bit to the right off the real perfect sweet spot on that screw on. Two minutes to go now, half her time elapsed. And Miho, as we saw with Akio, getting 2 good hands on that yellow hold, but not managing to convert it, of course, as well as seeing the score. The climbers will be well aware that 28 seconds after Yanya Garnbret left them in the backstage area. She was back with them and the crowd were going crazy. So they'll be well aware what Janja's done.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, she is on a different page when it comes to these jumps. Miho's looking really close here, though.
We've seen footage occasionally from behind the wall here this week, and we've seen it a couple of times today. It's there's so much possibility for gamesmanship, isn't there? When Janja walks in backstage, you think she gives him a wink or just a wry smile? Or even worse, does she just ignore everyone completely and let the fact that she's back 30 seconds after she left speak for itself?
Yeah, I'd love to see that footage.
It'd be great to be a fly on the wall backstage there, wouldn't it? Of course, the climbers all very friendly, but it's a competition you want to win. And there's a massive potential for gamesmanship.
I think Miho's really suffering with her skin here. She's got to try and avoid bleeding. If she starts bleeding, that's really not going to be good. She's going to have to tape up and then going to struggle on holds in boulders 3 and 4, and especially on the lead routes with small holds they've got there as well.
Miho Nonaka was crowned overall Boulder World Cup champion for 2018 a month ago in Munich. Janja Garnbret won that World Cup, but in terms of overall ranking, Miho made herself the champion, and she's got the jump done on boulder number 2 and is still in the running here to be combined champion in Innsbruck. 15 seconds to go. She's got more than enough time, just needs to do this move accurately. She gets it done. She wasn't looking that close to the jump, Miho. Had a quick word with herself, I think, then beckoned to the crowd. Come on, I need a bit from you guys. They gave her a bit of support, and she made it work.
Yeah, we saw that from her in the semi-final round. She was really struggling. Got the crowd right behind her. She really seems to like it. It seems to work for her when they start screaming her name and clapping. The way that she did that after so many failed attempts was brilliant. She has definitely lost a lot of skin in the process, mind you, but it's a really, really good double-double there. Full stretch on the left arm. Brilliant contact strength, and did well on the top move.
Again,
just about held that finish hold as well.
Yes, did well, just got the thumb catch with the right hand. There wasn't room for the left as well, but she didn't really need it. It does transform the hold, that little catch for the right. We talked about gamesmanship. I wonder what Miho said, or did, when she walked backstage.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you'd be able to wipe the smile off her face, to be honest. She did turn to the crowd and show them her fingertips. See pink on the ends there and blood. Yes, bad sign.
You're not allowed to bleed on the holds. The judges will actually call you down and make you tape up any bleeding fingers. So Miho needs to use her time backstage quite wisely now to repair the damage and get her fingers in as good a shape as they can be ahead of boulder number 3, 4 and the lead wall. Here's Petra Klingler. Brilliant moment when she topped boulder number 1 on her 7th attempt, and coincidentally that was Miho's 7th attempt on boulder 2. So Petra has the opportunity to move herself up into second after the second boulder, because she topped the first one and she can still top the second one. Only Janja so far has got 2 tops. If Petra doesn't do this boulder, then Janja is going to go on to boulder 3 with the only person with 2 tops in the bag. So here goes Petra, first go at the jump, 3:35 left on the clock.
I'll save the majority of this conversation for later, Charlie, but regarding skin, I think it's going to play a huge factor here, and this is one thing that is really untested in this Olympic combined, is can we get through the round without anybody bleeding?
Well, we know that so much about sport is recovery and looking after yourself in between competitions and training, and the work that was done yesterday to try and get some skin back for these climbers will have been so crucial.
I mean, you can talk about all the different manufacturers of skin repair cream. Everyone's got their favourite magic potion that they put on there, but realistically, skin grows quite slowly. And yeah, with so much climbing all week, they have had a rest day, but still. Slightly different when it comes to the Olympics, I think. Not quite so intense.
Yeah, there'll be slightly longer rest periods in the Olympics, but even certainly not long enough rest periods for skin to grow back.
Petra trying to just miss the first double-handed red hold, just trying to fly straight to the zone hold.
It'd be spectacular if she could pull it off, but I can't imagine it would be an easier method. Well, she wasn't far off.
Yeah, the body's pretty rotated at that stage, though, so that, like I say, that would be very impressive if she pulled it off. Quite low on those holds. Sorry, Janja, really want to be high up, especially on the undercut.
Yeah, I think what we saw from Janja was she just watch Petra again, and again goes direct, and again is far away. What we saw with Janja is she really did a pull-up on that red hold, and it meant that instead of almost swinging onto the yellow hold, she kind of dropped onto it.
Petra absolutely drilled herself into the mat, so this time very close to a full face plant.
Petra Klingler's facial expressions are wonderful. Okay, crowd getting behind Petra. She goes again. She definitely likes that direct method, but she wasn't as close that time. Now, what will the tactic be here? Because clearly power's an issue if you try moves like that repeatedly. Will she just take a long break and just give everything to an attempt on the direct method? No, she's getting pretty much straight back on. Now, will she try the direct method, or will she use that big red hold? Ask for a bit of support from the crowd. It worked for Miho Nanaka, and it nearly works for Petra Klingler. Yeah, that direct is definitely the way she's trying to do it.
Well, I think she's obviously realised that there's less things that can go wrong with one less move.
Kevin Schäuber just manning the iPhone there, filming these attempts, the Swiss coach. Yeah, she definitely is only got eyes for the direct.
Yeah.
Route setters must have their head in their hand thinking, oh, come on, really? We set this boulder with this nice double movement and you're trying to go from the start to the yellow one. Now she tries the other method.
Yeah, it's like she's gone from trying to jump from A to C, missing out B, goes back to A, B, C.
So Petra with 20 seconds to go. Remember, a zone could be crucial here. Top's the most important measurement of a climber's performance, but zone's second. So even if she hasn't got time to top, a zone would have come in very handy. And A for effort for Petra Klingler, but she couldn't quite find the zone or the top. So she'll go backstage. Jessie Piltz, next climber out.
We talked about the first boulder being sort of a combination of all different styles. This one's definitely just straight out jumping. Top move, not really a challenge for the athletes too much, apart from just got getting the hand position on the finish hole, but there you see it, still Janja Garnbret. Two fine tops for her.
Here comes Jessie Piltz. What can she find on boulder number 2? She couldn't do number 1. She had that heartbreaking slap for the left hand, the penultimate hold on boulder number 1. She did get a zone, and such things can make the difference. But she needs to get a top on the board here because Janja could run away with this boulder, and she's got 2 tops. We already know that nobody else is going to finish this rotation with 2 tops because Jessie and Solsa, the last 2 climbers out, didn't top number 1. So regardless, Janja is going to finish the rotation on boulder 2 as the only climber with 2 tops. But Jessie needs a top here to at least try and stay with Janja.
Jessie has admitted in the past that dynos are not really her cup of tea.
Well, as climbers have been trying the speed wall more and more, and it's a discipline they wouldn't have known, so Jessie Piltz is going to have to work on her weaknesses with the Olympics beckoning. She's got a couple of years to do so, and if her improvement over the past couple of years is anything to go by, she could well have turned that weakness into a strength by the time we get to Tokyo in 2020. She's not far off here.
As all great athletes know, there's no point in training your strengths, only you need to train your weaknesses. I'm sure she'll be well aware of that. She's got the hand movements down, just needs to find a bit of accuracy.
Mike, I actually did an interview the other day with Adam Ondra's physio. Now, given the fact that most people would say Adam Ondra's the greatest outdoor climber to have ever lived, I was fascinated because his physio was saying that when Adam started working with him, he said to him, I'm bad at this, I'm bad at this, I'm bad at this, we need to train this weakness and that weakness. So it just goes to prove your point. Train your weaknesses, not your strengths. And Jessie Piltz has definitely got better at these kind of moves. There's no doubt that she's still got work to do. She looks capable of topping this boulder though. She's not too far off these moves.
Yeah, on the small sideways dynamic movement on number 1, she did find quite good progression. Got the move done in the end. It's a bit of a different style of move, this one though.
She's been burning through the attempts, Jessie, but time-wise, she's still got just under half the time remaining. So time for plenty more attempts. If that left-handed landed then, I think that was looking quite promising for Jessie. She did a big pull-up off the red hold, dropped nicely onto the right and just missed with the left.
This is one of those jumps you feel like you could hit that all day and never stick it, or you could do it the next go. You're never quite sure what's going to happen.
Yeah, Jessie really pausing on that red one, a la Yanya.
It's always good to see the slow-mos of these moves. So yeah, like just a slight pause on that, but it's the right hand's lacking a touch of accuracy, coming up a bit short, and the left hand is just really hard to hit. She's just pulled up a little bit there, holding her side slightly. I think these dynos really take it to your body.
Seconds left for Jessie. Up to the red, across to the yellow, and I think with 20 seconds to go she'll chalk up and she'll just have as many goes as she can before the clock ticks to 0, which is almost certainly going to be 1, maximum 2.
Yeah, remember these comps, zone is the second deciding factor, so number of zones, she could have got a zone there potentially, but also at the same time she could have lost another bit of crucial skin. Interesting decision for her to have a final go at that one. She obviously felt like she was quite close. See, she was really straight armed on the left hand when she came up to it. See it there, really low on that. Very impressive to hold it in that position. Did see it with Miho though.
Here comes Solsa. You can see there on the score she got the first zone but not the first top, so top here would move her up into second in the provisional rankings ahead of Boulder 3. As it stands, Yanya Garnbrett's got 2 tops, Akio Noguchi's got 1 top, as has Miho Nanaka and Petra Klingler, and Solsa and Jessie Piltz without a top as yet.
Solsa struggled quite a lot on the jump out to the right on women's number 1.
If you just look at those scores there, you see where it says Yanya Garnbrett 2-2-3. The first 2 refers to the number of tops, second 2 refers to the number of zones, and then the 3 refers to attempts to top. So when that graphic comes back up, that's what the numbers refer to. So, Solsat again. Getting some good height off that red hold. This is making Yanya Garnbrett's flash of this boulder when she got it done first go look increasingly impressive.
Yeah, and the fact that every athlete is failing to do this boulder in their 4 minutes means that Yanya Garnbrett is getting a bigger and bigger rest.
That's a good point you make, Mike. She's only troubled herself for 28 seconds on this one, and the rest of this whole rotation, she's just been sitting backstage, shaking out, relaxing.
The other climbers have been out there burning crucial skin, energy, taking their body to the cleaners, petrol landing on her head. She's just been sitting there, chilling with some tunes and relaxing.
Solsat, part of a strong Korean climbing team, picked up a couple of gold medals in speed climbing in the Youth World Championships. Jongwon Chon last night got silver in the men's bouldering. They've picked up multiple World Cup wins in the lead before with Hyunbun Min. It's a strong team, South Korea, and Solsat, arguably their leading light on the women's side. Former Asian youth champion in both lead and speed. So she's got real caliber in them, but bouldering definitely her strongest discipline these days. She needs a top here, really.
That's the thing about these dynos, when they work, they're spectacular. When they don't work, there's a lot of attempts get burned and a lot of standing on the mats.
Yeah, but your persistence can be rewarded. Miho Nanaka got this one on her 7th attempt.
Oh, nicely done that time from Solsa. He's almost carbon copy of Yanni there, slowed it down on the first hold.
Solsa just got the final move wrong on boulder 1 and didn't have time for another go. Just needs to get it right on number 2. Right hand needs to be accurate and then the left hand needs to join it. She needs to commit at some stage to the move, and it's a second heartbreaking final move for Solsa. She came off the speed wall in first place. Big opportunity, and she's come so close to having 2 tops.
She's fallen off the last move again. That is an absolute heartbreaker, like you say, Charlie. Let's have another look at this jump. Just a slight pause, was much higher up. Both arms completely bent when she landed into the yellow zone hold.
And you know what, Mike? Such is the brutality of route setting. On the first one, she committed too much energy to the last move and ended up too high. This time she just had to go for it, didn't quite commit enough and fell off. Yeah. Solsa's just pulled when she needed to push and pushed when she needed to pull on the last 2 moves of the first 2 boulders.
Is she going to be able to repeat this jump in time? I thought she might have just stuck her finger in the bolt hole up there to finish, to be honest. It looked slightly better than that undercut front cut. She's run out of time.
Oh, Solsa, she could be finishing with 2 tops in the first 2 boulders. As it is, she'll finish with 2 zones and 2 touches of the top hold. Such are the margins.
Oh, she was great on this dyno. She looked nowhere near it for the majority of her time, and then just pulled it out of the bag, hit the holds absolutely perfectly.
It's exactly like you said. It's one of those moves where you never really know whether the next one's going to be the one. And this was her creeping up, and really she just had to pop up. You saw it from Miho Nanaka. It's a bit of a risky move, but just smack up.
I think on the first boulder, she went with too much commitment. On that one, she went with not enough commitment.
Absolutely, yeah. As I say, pulling when she needed to push. She was, when she gets back to South Korea, or maybe if she's feeling particularly sadistic in her hotel room tonight and watches that, she'll think, oh, I can't believe it.
So many moments like that in climbing.
Well, you get 4 minutes and you've got to make thousands of micro decisions. That lady there doesn't get many of them wrong. And there's another coach's camp moment. I hope someone with a sense of humour is going to make a compilation with them at the end of the week. That was Miho topping out on her 7th attempt. This was Petra Klingler almost going direct and taking a pretty spectacular fall.
Yeah, how she walked away from that one, I'm not quite sure. Solsa again on the last hold. I think there might have been an opportunity just to stick a finger in the bolt hole there, just to pull on it. Moving on though.
This is a slab over on the right-hand side of the wall, 3 degrees off vertical, the 87-degree wall. There's the zone hold, the little yellow screw-on hold. And there's the top, big top hold. The key is, can you get close enough to jump for it?
Sort of the polar opposite of what we've just seen. From overhanging jumping to quivering around on a slab, there is a slight pop of the left hand, slightly higher up on this boulder, out to the penultimate hold before the zone. It's going to be Akio Noguchi first. Very, very good technical climber.
So here's Akio Noguchi. As it stands, 1 top for her. Boulder number 1, she got that on her 4th go. First chance to look at the slab over on the right-hand side of the wall.
Noguchi let 20 seconds of her time run down whilst analysing this boulder. All going to be about the foot placements on this one. Just about see the blue jib underneath her right foot. That's how small it is. Got to be mindful of the edge of the wall. Can't use the edge of the wall at all. Got to stand up here, work your way to the zone and step through very carefully onto that next triangle. Just like that. Good start from Mikiyo, potentially a little bit fast. Went for the double up on the underside of that volume. Reasonable first attempt there from Mikiyo. See just a tiny blue screw-on hold level with that advertising sign in the middle of the wall, just to her left elbow now. It's going to be a crucial hold on this boulder. Quite a lot of chalk on it. It looks white, it's actually blue. That time, Mikiyo sticks it, hits to the zone hold, no problem, wraps her palm around the zone hold. Works through the next section of volumes, 3 identical triangles here. Now she's got to do another slightly dynamic move out to the left and potentially make it a double roll over to the finish hold at the same time. Looks like she's eyeing it up, looks like she's going to go dynamically here. A very dynamic finals here once again in Innsbruck. Hits it 1-2. Secures the top hold. Akiya Noguchi, second time around. Second time of asking, gets it done. Slightly dynamic move into the undercuts. Jakob Schubert, their lead world champion, really appreciating what he's just seen. Akiya walks off the stage with 1 minute 40 seconds still to go. It was a bit touch and go. Bit of a drive-by finish there. Nearly flew past the hold. Akiya really calculated that boulder perfectly. Hard stand-up move to finish. Bit of a pop to the zone, and then a nice double catch to finish. See, we'll say a drive by the left arm, flew past the hold, and the right arm nearly followed it, but just paused enough on the top hold. Janja Garnbret out next then. So superb on the second boulder. Thought this boulder with a touch of a dynamic move in it as well is very suitable for her. Pulls back on. Pulls on, I should say, for her first attempt. Tricky committing move here. Just comes up short. We saw Akiya doubling to that hold, both hands. Yeah, just needs to go with a bit more vigour. I think she may have thought it was a bit more of a traditional rock over slab move, but in fact it's a bit more of a pop across.
She looked like she almost held on to that one though. The left hand reasonably solid, but once that right shoulder starts rotating away from the wall, it's pretty hard to hang on to.
Oh, does stick it with one hand this time. The body went really low, that was quite interesting.
Cross to the zone, so Janja already 2 tops and 3 zones, but can she convert it into 3 tops? Oh, yes she can.
Goes big to finish, matches Akiyo's top, second attempt also for Janja. Slightly different method on the middle section, similar on the first move, last move, excuse me though. Janja Garnbret once again, walks off the stage. Another top in the bag. Let's have another look at this move. Hit it really low.
Well,
didn't use the right hand at all.
Scores-wise, if Janja Garnbret can even get a zone on boulder number 4, she's going to come out ranked first. She's got 3 tops. No one else has got more than 2. So even a zone on the last hold, on the last boulder, let alone a top, would put her first in the bouldering, and then she'd be the favourite, albeit not by much, over Jessie for the lead as well. So Janja Garnbret, 5th on the speed wall, but she always finds a way. And there you can see the standings right now. Of course, Miho Nanaka, Petra Klingler, Sol Sa and Jessie Piltz yet to attempt this boulder. Here comes Miho for her go.
Let's see how much tape she's wearing then on her fingers after bleeding on boulder number 2. Immediately looks at her skin. That's not a good start. Really enjoying herself here though, Miho. So happy to be here considering her shoulder injury on that right shoulder.
4 minutes begins for her. Levers herself onto the slab. Climbers have to start legally. That means putting all 4 limbs onto the start holds according to where the yellow tape is. So you just saw Miho just dab her foot onto that start hold. So you dare breathe almost before you go out to the left. Miho gets it first time.
Oh, that was a real battle to stay on there. Hands were just doing anything they could possibly do to stick to the zone hold. That was less calculation, more desperation to hold the zone. Jumps out 1, 2, so close to a flash for Miho.
Yeah, I think Miho slightly caught between going full gas for the jump there and wondering if she could maybe stop on this blue hold.
Yeah, it's quite similar to the move up to the zone, actually. Initially, it would appear that it's a sort of a traditional slab move where you can just push out on the left toe and go slowly. I think as soon as they start pushing, they realise they've got to go quick. So it's a sort of a boulder of slab with 2 small jumps in it.
I've got to say the route setters have done a brilliant job here. I know Janja Garnbret has topped all the boulders, but she's only flashed 1, and then nobody else has found a top in less than 2 attempts. The other 4 tops, which are currently shared out between Akio Noguchi, took Miho Nanaka and Petra Klingler, took 2 attempts, 4 attempts, and then 2 of them took 7 attempts. So the route setters do a nice job here.
Yeah, I think due to the style of the boulders, lots of dynamic moves, lots of timing moves. It's a bit of a theme throughout this championships. That's what it's going to create. It's going to create drama in terms of the number of attempts to tops.
So Miho had no trouble at all with this move earlier, and once again doesn't have any trouble. Just needs to, even has time to strap her shoe up. Just needs now to really commit to this last move. And there it is for Miho. She couldn't get the boulder done first go. She gets it done second go.
Three climbers top the boulder. 3 climbers do it on their second attempt. Jump to the zone, jump to the top hold. Very different jump to the one we've just seen on the previous boulder though. Quite a dynamic move onto her right shoulder there, but I think she's going to get through the day in one piece, just about, I think. Even if her one piece is 2 pieces of arm held on with tape, it will still just be about the 1 piece, I think.
So that was third go for Miho, not second. Here comes Petra. Petra Klingler, the 4th climber out onto this one. Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley here, live from the Olympia World Arena next to the Sill River in Innsbruck. World Championship combined final. We've already had the speed, and we're on to boulder number 3 on the bouldering element. Just again, making sure she's got a legal start, just dabs that blue volume, then moves her right foot up to the tiny little screw on the maroon volume.
Just about stayed in balance there.
Very tense music ringing around the arena. Petra looked hopeful when the left hand landed, but as soon as she committed out left, her body started peeling away from the wall, and when it's only 3 degrees off vertical, sadly you're not going to be able to hang on there.
Seen it on the first attempt of most of the previous climbers. They seem to feel like this move might not be a jump and it's more of a static sort of lean over. But we have seen better progression in this boulder when they've gone more dynamically.
As I said, Mike, good route setting. The first 3 climbers have done it, but none of them have got it first time. So there's an element of figuring this one out. Two and a half minutes to go. Petra back on the wall.
What will she try this time? Oh, goes for the sort of roll over palm, roll over the right arm, palm down the left hand. We have seen that move a number of times throughout different categories this week, so it wasn't a bad shout trying it. I think now that she's tried it, she'll go back to the original option of jumping across with the feet.
Yeah, perhaps worth a look. It's not costing you any energy really, but I don't think she'll persist with that method.
Yeah, it was actually in the, I'm pretty sure it was the women's final where they had a big rollover like that on the slab, far right-hand side. Big palm down rollover move, but not to be on this boulder. Petra just having a slightly wasted attempt there on the first move.
Got to have a go though. If you've got an inkling that might be a method that works for you, you've got to try it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's easy. We know what the method is because we've seen other climbers do it, but she's out there on her own. Just her against the boulder.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, Petra Klingler, world champion. This is how you do the boulder. 110 left for Petra.
Does try it again there, but just tries to hop the left foot rather than stepping through and slamming the right foot down through that volume. Saw Miho really drilling the right foot into the volume as she crossed it through, using every element of her shoe, not just the front.
Now she finds a way, Petra, 38 seconds to go. She's got time, but you'd imagine this will be her only shot at this move. 30 seconds now. Bit of tension in the arena. Oh, and she nearly slipped off. Can't really afford to bring the left foot through from that position. This is a bit more like it. Here she goes, and there she is on the top. Petra Klingler finds a way. There's your reward. She got boulder number 1 done on her 7th go. She gets boulder number 3 done on her 5th go. Persistence rewarded.
She did really well here. Big fight from Petra once again. Every time she goes on a boulder, she just goes to war. Big jump.
I'll tell you what, Mike, she's sitting in 4th place in the bouldering right now. She's putting on an amazing show, Petra. Bouldering final in the World Championships didn't go according to plan for her. She ended up 6th, and it's obviously an amazing achievement to make the World Championship final, and she looked close on a few boulders, but it just wasn't quite her day.
I think her result didn't really tell the whole story, if you know what I mean.
It didn't. At the end of the competition, it felt to me as if she'd had quite a few successes, but a bit like Seoul Saturday, she'd actually had quite a few near misses. Here is Jessie Piltz, 2nd in the speed. Currently sitting in 6th in the bouldering. Needs something here. I mean, even a zone wouldn't get her that far. If she only gets a zone on this one, Jessie, then the best she can finish is 5th in the bouldering. So, needs a top, and ideally needs one quickly.
Looking forward to seeing the combined scores at the end of this round, see where we're going to be ending up for the lead. Jessie's great performance on the speed. And Yanya's great performance on the bouldering. Oh, look at this method from Jessie Piltz. Full stretch across. She did that in the final as well.
Yeah, you were saying, Mike, she's not always enjoyed jumpy moves that much. And this is a way of doing the boulder statically.
Oh, that was so good.
That was beautifully done from Jessie. So she's got a zone.
Absolutely no texture on that zone hold as well. It's a completely smooth piece of plastic. No use to you whatsoever, apart from marking where the zone is.
Here she goes now. She'll pop across, grab the blue, go up with the right hand to the yellow top hold.
Traditional slab climbing for Jessie up to this point, but now she's got to get her jumping game together. Got a launch, doesn't like the look of it.
Yeah, it's taking a long time to think about this one. Jessie Piltz got a good handle on the top, but not good enough.
I have to say, Charlie, Jessie, like we said, she's not a huge fan of the dynos. 3 out of 3 boulders so far, has had a jump in it. Got to feel for her a little bit. That's the game though, it's equal challenge for everybody.
This was her up with the left hand. She was just beginning to move away from the wall then. You got to use that blue hold as well just to pull yourself in. 2 minutes, 8 seconds left for her. Sol Sa will be the last climber to attempt this one. It's been topped by everyone so far. Jessie needs a top here.
Let's have another look, see if she uses the same step-through method here. Misses the blue scroll in the middle that we thought was so crucial. Amazing flexibility, reaches so easily out to the zone hold. It's quite surprising other climbers didn't find that. Jessie's not even the tallest athlete in the field. Absolutely cruises across to the zone. But it's all about the finish.
Well, I think now she might be feeling slightly better about the fact she pretty much knows she can get back to this position. Takes the pressure off a bit, but it matters not. Top for Jessie Piltz. Yeah, I was going to say, on a move where you're really struggling to get in position for the top, there's a bit more pressure because then you think, well, I might not be able to get here again. But Jessie knew, I think, that she'd be able to get there again if that attempt hadn't worked out.
Yeah, that's right. It's a really quick climb. Not actually, only really 2 moves on the whole boulder. Gets up to the zone hole so easily, like you say, and this time, make no mistake on the jump. She got quite close on the first time, built up some confidence. It's pretty much a guaranteed, I think, on the finish hold that time.
Yeah, very solid. Look at that, didn't even need to adjust her right hand. It's like a magnet straight into the sweet spot. There's Austrian team physio Klaus enjoying that one. So Sol Sa needs to get on the board here. She'd move up ahead of Jessie into 5th place if she could find a top. But her and Jessie will go on to the last boulder in 5th and 6th in the bouldering standards, not in the overall, of course. If you're just joining us, this is the Olympic format combined. Live from Innsbruck, the conclusion of a fabulous World Championships here. Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley watching it live from the Olympia World, and Sol Sa is the final climber to attempt boulder 3. We've already had the speed climbing. The lead climbing is still to come, as is boulder 4.
Sol Sa did so well, but very disappointingly fell off the last move of both the first 2 boulders. Looks like she will be using the little blue jib for her left foot. Definitely makes this move a little bit trickier than the way Jessie did it. Great route reading from Jessie. Just trying to use the back of the edge of the volume there. Pretty sure Sol Sa will get that step through done.
Yeah, look, a bit like Petra Klingel, looked very solid on the start of the move, and then it just started to unravel the closer she got over to the left.
It's one of those boulders from the ground, like we said, it doesn't necessarily look like a bit of a jump across, and then when you try it once, you realise you've got to go with a bit more speed. Little pop jump into the undercut. So she's just going to lean into the fingernail hole behind the back of the volume there. This time hits the volume really low. We saw Janja Garnbret managing to hold it with one hand. Janja's body went really low to make that move work. Sol Sa currently quite high up. See a slight movement on the right foot as it hit the volume as well, just slid a little bit.
There's Janja on the left and Petra on the right. You said it earlier, Mike, Janja's spending an awful lot of time backstage there.
Yeah, she wants to swap that office chair out for a sofa, I think.
I wonder if there's a lazy boy lying around some of the storage area, because Janja's not spending an awful lot of time on the mats right now. For Sol Sa. Now she makes it work. There's the zone for her. So she's got the zone on all 3 boulders so far. And she could, perhaps should have topped both of the first 2. Lining it up for this top move. she's going to try and do it statically.
She's got the feet in the right orientation here for this jump. That's pull and go, but can't stay close to the wall. I have to say, actually, like, fair play to the climbers, because that is actually a slightly terrifying jump. Got to jump across the wall around 2 meters high. Finish hold is at 4.5 meters high, and you're jumping off a bad foothold, smearing on a bad volume, and flying as hard as you can towards the 4.5 meter mark. I fancy it myself, to be honest.
That was Sol Sat. Well, if there were scores given out for doing 95% of a boulder, she'd currently be sitting second behind Janja Garnbret, but as it is, she's sitting in sixth with 3 zones. Yeah, so far for Sol Sat, it's just been a case of so near and yet so far on every boulder. Here she goes again. Crowd would like to see her get a top, and they're going to get their wish. She gets it right that time. That's felt long overdue for Sol Sat.
Yeah, last atop. I think the crowd are kind of really behind her because they know it's agony up to this point in the competition for her. It means a lot. She did really, really well in the previous 2 boulders, and that time hit the jump absolutely perfectly, I have to say. She was quite a way away from it the first time she tried the last move. This time, hit the left-hand hole perfectly. Just drove towards the finish hold really nicely.
So at the end of boulder number 3, Janja Garnbret is top of the bouldering standings with 3 tops. Even a zone for her, let alone a top, will be enough to leave her ranked first at the end of the bouldering. Akiyo Noguchi's got 2 tops. They required 6 attempts. Miho Nanaka's got 2 tops. They required 10 attempts. Petra Klingler's got 2 tops, requiring 12 attempts. And Sol Sat's got 1 top and 3 zones, and Jessie Piltz has got 1 top and 2 zones. So that's how it stands right now.
Let's have a look back a few replays of this. Women's number 3. Janja's attempt, the way that she held that with one hand, didn't hold it on that, the exact same method that she did use. Another great body position from Janja.
Look at this, we're seeing on the big screen actually some pictures from backstage. All the climbers stood in right behind the wall. And as we were saying, Janja Garnbret spent an awful lot of time there. That's Petra Klingler. This is Jessie Piltz.
Yeah, it's really intense, like you say, it's really close.
Close quarters.
Yeah, close quarters, and lucky there not too many enemies back there.
Yeah, if this was MMA, I don't think it'd be quite safe to leave him in such close quarters. There we see Janja Garnbret. So, as it stands right now, she'd actually be sharing the lead in the overall standings with Sol Sat, or sharing the ranking points. Jessie Piltz, Miho Nanaka, Akiyo Noguchi, and Petra Klingler, the top 6. As it stands in the overall rankings, of course, we've got the boulder rankings and the overall rankings.
Let's have a look then at women's number 4. Hopefully a bit more pulling on this boulder rather than jumping. Big volcano pockets. Big roller over to the left hand to the initial one. Powerful moves outright. Zone hold in yellow as always. 2 holds in that volume. Big cluster of volumes in the middle of the wall in black. 1 at the bottom and an undercut right at the top. And a little cluster of yellow and black volumes to finish. Be Akiyo out first, as always on the bouldering here in the combined so far. She finished last in the speed.
Here comes Akiyo, waves to the crowd. Doesn't look especially
Not one to be
pleased
rushed,
with this one. Doesn't give much away, Akiyo Noguchi.
Goes straight in for a clean. Obviously during the observations she's realised there's still a significant amount of chalk build up there from when the route setters were working on the holds. Maybe it's just part of her routine. There is a volume down and right as a foothold. Most likely stood just square on top of it rather than toe hooking underneath it. Should be a good display of power on this boulder. Who's got the most power left in the tank? Boulder number 4. Nice little one armour out to the right for Akio. Deep grip there for the left hand. And two really hard moves in the middle with a hard cut loose move up to the big black volume. Let's see how bad that zone hold is. Big volume down and right, but it's actually quite hard to stand on it due to the angle of the face.
So it's been interesting. You and I were saying before the round we thought we'd see quite a few tops, and we have, but they haven't come especially quickly. Almost every bowl you've had to work at. And so the bouldering round in terms of time has actually been quite long, but we've seen a reasonable amount of tops. So it's clever route setting. The climbers have had to figure them out. And this boulder is just super powerful.
Yeah, so it's what we want to see, really. Climbers really challenged in terms of the amount of power that they've got. We want the strongest climber to win. Toe hooking that time off the right foot. Obviously standing on top, not potentially the best, but underneath doesn't really give you much. Upwards kind of movement as well.
There's the zone that she's going for, half her time remaining. Got another couple of, in English climbing parlance, boffing moves above as well. So it's not in the bag once you get to that zone. Now she goes Akio. The jumps, the coordination stuff, that's all well and good, but sometimes it's nice to see a boulder where you just need a bit of grunt.
Really trying to look for the flip there on the left hand. That's probably a good idea from Akio. It's how side pull that right hand zone hold is. Sometimes you need something to oppose it, just to stick onto a side pull like that. Good bit of hard climbing here. Good power endurance here from Akio to consistently do this big rollover and release.
Oh, really impressive. Doing a move that's at or just beyond your limit repeatedly for 4 minutes.
So she's going to try a different method.
Impressive.
I was going to wonder if that was an option, but seemingly not. Just as soon as she goes up to the zone hold, there's no thumb catch at all on the left hand, and the way that it's facing means that your left hand just rips as you go up. That's why she's looking for an alternative little undercut or a little flip for the left hand. If that hold that the guy was just brushing there, that small edge was facing the other direction, it would be a completely different move. Classic trick from the route setters, put the hold facing away from where you want it. Means your hand rips as you go, just about caught it that time.
Yeah, I think you can see the power just fading from Akio. She's just a bit snatched at those moves and they looked a bit further. I think she knows how vital a zone could be here, and I thought she was lining up for another go, but realistically, the tank had just run dry, and now she has to focus on the lead.
I think we might see someone go up to the right-hand crimp first rather than the volcano. That's where she got your left hand at the moment, and cross down to the volcano with her left hand before going back up. Makes the move up bigger, but potentially the hold is a little bit better. You can see there's a slightly rough job on the brushing. There's a huge pile of chalk in the back of that hold just after it's been brushed.
So here comes Janja Garnbret. If she can find a zone, let alone a top, she knows she will be ranked first in the bouldering.
Always an air of anticipation when this lady turns around to face a boulder. Like I said, Charlie, earlier, an indicator of how hard a boulder is whether Janja does it first time or not. Let's see what she makes of women's number 4. One of the best boulders in the world, Akio Noguchi, couldn't do it. Nice little 1-2 straight away for Janja there. Didn't pause on the first volcano. Straight into a toe hook as well. Janja looking really strong here. Obstacle off the toes. Goes for the flip. Goes for the flip and loses the feet because she's toe hooking.
It's reassuring to know there are some moves that even Janja Garnbret can't do.
Yeah,
Not many, it must be said.
She definitely realised in that position that it was going to be difficult to go up to the zone hold.
Gives you an
and
insight.
not lose the left hand.
Yeah, it gives you an insight into how strong she is. When we were on the mats and we looked at that volcano, we both said, "Oh God, that's awful." She was trying to hand swap on it.
Yeah, interestingly, there's a tiny little jib on the left-hand side of that, which, from a route reading point of view, would mean that you get it with your right hand, with your right thumb. That's why they're jumping to that straight away, rather than the crimp, including the fact that the crimp's obviously a worse hold. I wonder if she will try and get her left hand down to that second volcano or not. There you can see the thumb dial straight into that little thumb catch. Different feet option this time for Janja. Trying something new. Looks like she might try and roll to the zone with the left and match it. Oh, it does go right. That was nice.
So that's Janja Garnbret winning the bouldering. She's got the zone. She's going to be ranked 1 out of the bouldering. Her total score will be 5. 1 in the bouldering multiplied by her 5th place on the speed. Can she find a top? Janja Garnbret, she's got that horrible little undercling, manages to do the hand swap. Can she find a way? Slaps up with her right hand, she can always find a way. Top for Janja, 2 minutes to spare. She's going to go onto the lead wall with 5 ranking points in the overall standings. 5th in the speed, she's going to be 1st in the bouldering. She's topped all the boulders and she has blown the competition out of the water.
Another brilliant moment here in Innsbruck. Janja Garnbret just surprises us once again. Goes for a brilliant bit of route reading, left toe in the pocket. And at that point onwards, it was no doubt. It's a bad undercut, really, but the way that she managed to just fight on it, get the match, it was just a 2-finger undercut crimp in the end for her. Thought she could reach finish hold, just came up short. Fired to it anyway, and Janja Garnbret passed at another boulder.
Competition's been very strong in women's bouldering over the last few years, but really Janja Garnbret is just beginning to rewrite the rules, not only in lead but also on the boulder wall. I mean, we're looking at giants of the game. Arguably, if you take longevity into account, possibly, probably, the greatest female competition boulderer ever of Akio Noguchi. Akio Noguchi has managed 2 tops. Janja's done 4. Miho Nanaka here, the overall champion for 2018. She's got 2 tops so far, could turn that into 3. If Miho can top this boulder and she requires less attempts than Petra, then Miho is going to secure 2nd place in the bouldering. 1st place, already home and hosed. Janja Garnbret spending where she's spent most of this Sunday lunchtime, which is back behind the wall.
See Miho's first attempt, just missed the thumb catch on the right-hand volume there. It's a quick move, so it's hard to be quite as precise as Janja was. Seems that if you don't hit that thumb catch quite perfectly, unless you try and do a one-armer like Akio did, then you need to hit it well on that right-hand hold.
So we're not competing for bouldering medals here, it's ranking points to go on to the speed wall. The order the speeders climb, the lead wall. The order the climbers come out on the lead wall will be determined by their current overall ranking. So it's not a reverse order of the bouldering, it's reverse order of the current overall ranking after 2 events that determines the starting order on the lead. 2.5 minutes now for Miho to pull back on. This boulder being topped.
Sticks the move this time. We do know it's not over after this move though. This is where we saw Janja go up high left foot. Kyo just tries to go up, fires up to the right hand and loses the left hand exactly the same as Akio.
When Janja used that left foot, it looked like a bit of a luxury, almost as if she could have done the move without it. But having watched Akio and now Miho, it's looking a bit more vital. You really got to do something with that left foot because, as you said, Mike, the left hand fires off, you start rotating, and you're not going to hang on to that once your body's moving to the right.
To be fair, I think Janja could have done it without the lower right foot. She did use it, she put quite a lot of weight for it, but I don't think we need to go into which hold she should or shouldn't have used, or could have done the boulder with or without. I just know that she absolutely passed it.
Yeah, no boulder on the wall took her more than 2 attempts. Here's Miho, 120 left. Needs to do something with those feet so that she doesn't rotate out to the right like that.
Yeah, you can either do something with your feet or just try and flip the left hand. Not only looking at these other attempts from the other athletes is Janja Garnbret so good, her movement's just on the next level, but she's intelligent. She knew that there was going to be difficulty when releasing the left hand. She knew that she couldn't hold the zone hold with one hand. First time around, she just tried something different with her hands, different hand sequence. Second time around, thinking completely outside the box and put a foot where nobody else has even thought to put their foot at the moment.
Does seem to be a feature of Janja's climbing that it almost looks as if she knows what the next move is. She's already anticipated what's going to happen next, almost as if she's done them before. It's all about Miho Nanaka for now, though. The recently crowned 2018 overall World Cup champion has 30 seconds left to find the top and almost made it work with the catch with the left hand. Looked like she was going to hold it without, began to move to the right, thought to herself, well, better get this left hand swapped around, but by then it was just a bit too late.
Yeah, we've barely seen a move this week up to a cycle that hasn't revolved around a little opposition catch for the other hand. Miho, excuse me, is going to run out of time here.
She might get a zone, though, if she's very quick. She's not going to, so Miho is going to finish with 2 tops. Mike, it might feel like Janja Garnbret's taking control here, but just something to keep an eye out for. If Petra Klingler doesn't manage to top this boulder, but Sol Saad does, Sol's going to end the bouldering in second, having been first on the speed. So there's a lot still to be decided. You can see her down there, Sol Saad. She ended up with 2 tops and 3 zones. Excuse me, 2 tops and 4 zones it would be. She'd move up into second.
Well, the way Sol Saad's going on this final as well, not that many tops, but she's been very close to 3 tops. She's looking in impeccable form today. Not forget, Sol Saad's actually had the extra day's rest compared to these other athletes because she wasn't in the boulder final, just outside of the top 6 on that occasion. So she has been well rested, and it kind of looks like that way as well. It would be different in the Olympics due to the nature of the format. It doesn't come after a full World Championships. It would just be purely Olympic format combined.
Yeah, I think there are elements to this competition that won't be present in the Olympics, but it still gives us a really good insight into how it's going to feel, how you manage your energy, how the tactics might change slightly versus a competition where you think, right, I've got 4 boulders and then next week I'm going on holiday, so I can just give them everything I've got. Petra just going through the moves in her mind. Still haven't seen Jessie Piltz out on this boulder. We still haven't seen Sol Saad. Petra could actually secure herself 2nd place in the bouldering if she can get a top here.
I have to say, Akiyo's method on this is looking more and more impressive at the moment. The power to go through with one hand and stop the rotation and then effectively campus out to the right-hand side shows you how much power she's got, and the ability to hold the backswing on the first move was really impressive as well. Everyone else currently just doubling out, making it into a bit of a jump, not necessarily needs to be. So it's more of a float than a jump. By that I mean that there's a slight control on the first hold before hitting the second. Don't have to completely release all points.
Just over half her allocated 4 minutes left on the clock for Petra. She's back down on the mats now. Just having a quick word with herself, just slowing it down. You don't have infinite attempts at a move like this. It just requires too much power for that. So quite sensibly, just slightly mentally and physically resetting down on the mats, and it's paid off because she's latched the move up to the volcanoes. What will the method be here? Through to the crimp. She'll go out with the right hand. When the feet cut loose again, you just can't hang on to that poor yellow.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think she did really well on the bottom move, but that's not the hardest move on the boulder. It's this one next up to the zone. That's what we've seen from Akiyo, it's what we've seen from Miho. devastating when you think you've done the hardest move on the boulder only to get faced with a even harder move. Well, that's what we want for bouldering. Hard move, hard move. Now that she's done that first move, seems to do it again easily. Really working the right thumb to drop into the crimp on that second move. Quite slowly that time, up to the right hand. Another look at this first move. Great strength through the shoulders and neck to hold that position. Not quite finding the sweet spot on that, but I'm not 100% sure that method's going to work. You'd have to be superbly strong to hold this straight off the crimp. Just no way at that angle of wall. The bottom section there is the steepest on the entire panels at 35 degrees. Losing the crimp and hit the zone. Not going to be enough for Petra.
No, it is not for Petra. As it is, she's fourth. She may well stay there in terms of the bouldering. But she could be caught and passed by both Salsa and Jessie Piltz. Comes Jessie Piltz. Again, could move herself up into second. She could have 2 tops and 3 zones at the end of this, but she will need to top this boulder. If she can't top, the best she can do in the bouldering is 5th, Jessie. First thing she does when she comes onto the mats is give everything a good clean. Spring clean down there. So here goes Jessie. Doesn't set off until 25 seconds has elapsed.
Just unclips the chalk bags, throws it on the floor, so he knows this one's not potentially going to be a resistance boulder in terms of the conditions of her hands. Just a couple of straightforward curly moves.
That was closer that time. Left hand looked pretty solid.
Yeah, we saw Petra having a number of goes and not looking too close, and then did the move in the end. The reason those athletes are going into the back of that hole is there's a slight sort of ridge in the back of that hole that makes it better than the front of the hole. You do need to go quite deeply into it to find that sort of bump in the surface of the hole.
So Jessie pulls on again. The left hand lands, so does the right hand, and this time she controls the swing. What will she do with the feet here? What will the method be? Switches across to that left hand grip. You can see just how hard she's having to work. Fatigue definitely becoming a factor here. Can she try and match and hand swap on that terrible volcano? Yes, she does. So it changes the nature of this move up to the zone. Still doesn't quite make it possible for Jessie.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. It might feel like a good idea to go off the lower left-hand volcano. But at the same time, it makes the move up much higher, and the feet at that stage are really high for you. That's a good thing, because she knew that there was not much chance of holding it off of the crimp. Had a good effort, to be fair. I wonder now if she'll have to think about the foot options. Like we said a few climbs ago, it was only Yen Ugamba who's currently put the left foot high up into the left volcano.
Right, 1.5 minutes now for Jessie. She's in 6th place in the bouldering right now. Top will move her up, possibly temporarily, into 2nd place. She just can't figure out a way to stay stable on that zone.
Yeah, we're seeing this from the majority of the athletes now. Can't find a way to make that work. Like we said, you'd have to be hideously strong on the right hand for that to work. No other athletes tried anything else with the feet. She's absolutely cruising that move, so she's obviously still feeling really fit, feeling strong. Will all these multiple goes affect what happens in the lead, though, for Jessie Piltz? Yanni Gambret is going to be fresh going into the leading. Barely touched the speed wall.
Well, this is
barely touched the boulder wall.
Yeah, Yanni's combined total time on stage must be about 5 minutes. Feels like we've barely seen her today, and somehow she's absolutely crushed the bouldering. So 30 seconds to go for Jessie to get back on terms. She just can't find a way on boulder 4.
Yeah, the local MCs, being Austrian, has given her absolutely everything. But it wasn't going to be enough. And how much cheering if you're faced with moves that are that hard, there's not much you can do about it.
So that means Jessie Piltz is going to finish 6th in the bouldering. So she was 2nd on the speed, so a ranking of 2 and a ranking of 6, 2 times 6, her current score is 12 in the overall standings, Jessie Piltz. Sol Sa could put herself in control of the whole competition here. If she tops this boulder, she's going to have 2 tops and 4 zones, and she's going to finish 2nd in the bouldering, and she was 1st in the speed. So she'd have a ranking of 2 to Yanya's 5.
Local MC in the arena has just figured out the same thing as you, Charlie. He's just announced it to the crowd.
Not often I beat someone to the mat. I'll take that any day.
He's got an earpiece, someone telling him that as well. Great combined final so far, I have to say. So many interesting elements playing out to us. This is all new to us as it is to you at home. So many different factors, especially going into the final route. Fatigue, skin, points.
I think you're right, Mike. I mean, we're used to watching bouldering finals, and we've had 2 excellent ones here at Innsbruck. Sol Sa has a pretty good stab at that first move. But here, you've got this element of, okay, how did she do on the speed wall? How much energy has she got left? Is she a better lead climber than a boulderer? So is it worth binning this boulder off in order to be less tired? But there's so much more going on in terms of tactics.
I have to say, Sol Sa is looking incredibly strong on the boulders today. Campus is up again with the right hand. This could work. We have seen Jessie Piltz ending up with her left hand down low here. It makes the next move up to the zone incredibly difficult. Such a bad sloping volcano that, nothing really to push off of the right foot.
Oh, she's done well there.
Done really well.
But can she get her feet on top of that volume? Because the right foot down there is not going to help you. You've got to get it on something.
That's going to burn a lot of power in the forearms and the biceps, just camping around on those 2 bad holds off a toe hook for the right foot. That's the right toe. So it's good for holding you into the wall, but not very good for getting you to go up the wall. Definitely enjoying a tattoo close-up today.
Yeah, we see every detail on that one from Sol Sa. So 2 minutes of bouldering action left. We know Jessie Piltz will have a ranking of 12. We know Yanni Gambret will have a ranking point total of 5 after this bouldering. What will Sol Sa have? She could have 2. 2nd on the bouldering and 1st on the speed. She's done the first bit of it, but she needs to find a top here. And she tried the quick swap with the left hand.
Yeah, tried the flip. She's still looking really strong in the arms. 2nd to Yanya. She's definitely been the on-form athlete in the bouldering at the moment. Unfortunately, the result doesn't quite tell the full story for Sol Sa.
So actually only Yanni Gambret and Jessie Piltz know where they're going to finish this bouldering section of the combined final. As it stands, it's Akio Noguchi in 2nd, Miho Nanaka in 3rd, Petra Klingler in 4th, and Sol Sa in 5th. Sol Sa, regardless of attempts, has a very big opportunity. The zone doesn't get her anywhere, wouldn't be enough to move her up the order, but a top here will put her second in the bouldering and first in the overall standings.
Does slow it down a little bit there, but you've got to think, on our experience watching the other athletes, unless she does something else with her feet, not going to be able to secure a zone on this one.
Okay, so no problem now up to the volcano.
Yeah, she tries something really there for the crowd responds as well. She knows that that's going to be the way.
That worked for Yanya Garnbret, and it's worked for Solsa. Time is going to be tight. 15 seconds to go. Solsa goes up with the left hand. Goes up to the top hole. Solsa is going to go onto the lead wall in the lead of this overall competition. She's second in the bouldering. She was first in the speed. And after a couple of heartbreaking moments on the first couple of boulders, she's second place in the bouldering. Solsa, first in the speed, second in the bouldering, in control in Innsbruck.
Hairs on the back of your neck, stand up there. A brilliant moment here in Innsbruck. It all gone a bit quiet. Everyone realised if you don't do anything else with your feet, it's not going to work for you. She had pretty much the majority of her time and realised there was another option. As soon as she put the left toe hook in, everybody stood up on their feet and started cheering. Solsa, from that point onward, it looked in no doubt. I was just pleading that she didn't fall off the final move as she did with the first couple of boulders. In the end, Solsa has done brilliantly on the boulder wall here this afternoon.
Okay, so overall standings. Solsa is currently leading the way. She's got 2 points. First on the speed, second on the boulder, 1 multiplied by 2 ranking points. Yanya Garnbret, first in the bouldering, 5th in the speed, 5 ranking points, 1 multiplied by 5. Jessie Piltz was second in the speed, 6th in the bouldering, so that's a total of 12, 2 multiplied by 6. Petra Klingler, 15 points for her, 5th in the bouldering, 3rd on the speed. Miho Nonaka, 4th and 4th, gives her 16 ranking points, and Akio Noguchi has 18 ranking points, thanks to 6th on the speed and 3rd in the bouldering. So, if you just tuned in and just watched the bouldering, you'd have thought Yanya Garnbret was just running away with this. Not a bit of it. Solsa is in first place in the overall standings. There you can see the bouldering results. 4 tops and 4 zones for Yanya. She dominated that bouldering. The lead still to come, and the climbers now go backstage and put their harnesses back on, having had them on for the speed. This was a replay of Akio Noguchi on the slab. Eventually Akio. And there you go, once the right hand landed, the left hand just had to join it. So here is Solsa. This was when she figured out how to use her feet on the bouldering. With Solsa, if she is second or first on the lead walk, she's going to be the combined champion, because even if she was second, that would be 2 multiplied by her current ranking score of 2, and that would be 4. And even if Yanya Garnbret was first in the lead, she'd still have more points than that. Remember, it's the lowest score possible that you want. Solsa, if she's second in the lead, will end up with a ranking with 4 ranking points. If Yanya Garnbret's first, she'll end up with 5. So Solsa needs first or second on the lead wall to be overall champion. Beyond that, things get slightly more complicated. Jessie Piltz really is relying on a bad result from Solsa and Yanya Garnbret. Jessie currently got 12 ranking points, as you can see there. It's enough for 3rd, But Solsar in control right now. Asian Youth Lead Champion in 2012. We think of her more as a boulderer. She is capable of something big on the lead wall. The climbers will have their observation period, and we'll watch that, but that's how it stands right now. Solsar first in the speed, second in the bouldering. Janja Garnbret fifth in the speed, first in the bouldering. Jessie second and sixth, Petra third and fifth, Miho fourth and fourth, and Akio Noguchi sixth on the speed, third in the bouldering. Mike, I was just saying Solsar needs only second place in the lead to be the champion.
Yeah, it's a big ask, I think, but she is looking strong and she's looking fit. She didn't have that extra day in the bouldering finals like the other athletes. I think it's be a tough ask, but it's definitely possible.
Poor old Mike Langley. throw him a comment, and he just had to nip down the stairs outside our commentary box and then leg it back up with a bit of information we needed, and I instantly asked him the question, still regathering his breath.
So it does prove once again that speed climbing is a huge part of the combined. It's not just good enough to be good in boulder and lead, potentially. Solsar has been good in both disciplines to begin with, speed and then the boulder. So impressed with her in the bouldering, especially that last climb. She could have easily walked away with 4 tops there. Fell off this one, second boulder at the last move. Fell off in the first boulder at the last move. Solsar has had good results in overall competitions recently in the Asian Games. She's quite liking this format. Just as we watch these highlights, a small pause before we start the lead competition. And the route setters have run on to reset the bouldering wall for the men's competition that follows straight after the women's.
Yeah, there's no rest for the wicked, is there? The route setters been working for 2.5 weeks. Now, set the women's, leg it back on, set the men's. And rumours abound that 1 or 2 Austrian Weizbiers were consumed last night by the bouldering route setting team. I couldn't possibly comment. I can't say I saw it myself.
Women's lead observation starts then. 6 minutes. The action just keeps coming here. For those who've never seen the combined before, it's crazy, really. We were talking about it earlier. Go from the speed straight onto the boulders, and from the boulders straight onto the lead, and this 6 minutes will actually be a decent rest for some of these athletes. Decent rest in terms of what goes through your fingers and your arms and your body, not a rest for the mind though. This route reading is absolutely crucial. Going by our route map, it's 41 moves to the top. I think that's going to be changed to 40.
Yeah, the route map we've been provided doesn't appear to have a hold 37, so unless there's something truly bizarre going on, I think they might just have miscalculated the exact number of handholds.
Women's route then starts on the far bottom left-hand side of the first 7 or so moves are shared with the men's competition. A huge left to right diagonal on this wall. 40 moves is getting towards the top end of the number of moves you would expect on these routes. You can see the athletes just legging it down the left-hand side of the stage there to get further back from the wall because it's so steep, so long, 15 meters high in total, massive overhang on it. When you stand on the stage, you can't see the top third of the route at all, and especially on this route because it's a real crimp fest at the top. Bit of a show to begin with, and then it just turns into a full power endurance route on really bad holds mixed in amongst those upside down volumes. Should be a real fight of endurance on this route. We saw in the women's competition earlier this week, semi-final round in the routes was a bit too easy, 4 tops in that, and that did mean in the finals Jessie Piltz and Janja Garnbret both topped, which meant we had to go back to the time, disappointingly, but I think that's going to make Janja even more fired up to win this. But Solsar is in a way at the moment.
She is. I've just been doing a bit of maths, I must confess, with friend of mine sending me messages at the same time to help me out, which is never a bad idea when it comes to calculating maths. But Sol Sa, now she's going to finish on the podium. She's going to finish ahead of Akio Noguchi, Miho Nanaka, and Petra Klingler. None of them can catch her. Petra Klingler has 15 ranking points, Miho Nanaka has 16, and Akio Noguchi has 18. Now, if Sol Sa, even if she's 6th on the lead wall, she'll have a total of 12. So she knows she's going to finish ahead of at least 3 people. That means she's on the podium, and that means that those 3 are no longer in the running to win it. Right now, it's effectively between Yanya and Sol Sa. Jessie Piltz just about clinging on with a very outside chance. She can still do it, Jessie, but very, very slim chance. It's almost certainly going to come down to Yanya and Sol Sa.
This is one of those moments in sport where your result isn't necessarily determined by how good you are on the final climb. It's determined by where other climbers finish in relation to you as well, which makes it particularly difficult to predict. But it does keep it quite intense and interesting.
It does add a level of difficulty to the calculations, because you can't just say, well, if she gets to that hold, she'll get this ranking, because then you then have to multiply that ranking by her other 2. So there is a level of complexity. If Sol Sa is 1st or 2nd on the lead wall, she's the overall combined world champion. Beyond that, there are lots of possible outcomes, but Miho Nanaka, Akio Noguchi and Petra Klingler cannot win here, and Sol Sa is going to finish on the podium. I mean, the podium is almost certainly going to be Jessie, Sol, and Yanya, excuse me. Trying to do math, speak, and look at the route as well, all at the same time. But there's Petra Klingler. The wind's gone for her now. 3rd on the speed wall, but then 5th in the bouldering's really costing her. You need to remember a lot of equipment if you're competing in an Olympic format combined. Harness, obviously, and shoes, but then you've also got to bring your binoculars. You need your towel for the bouldering. It's all sorts to remember.
Just looking back at the women's semi-final scores from early on in the week, Sol Sa finished down in 17th place with a 39 plus out of a potential 46. So Sol Sa, although she's looking really fit today, not necessarily one of the favourites to get a top 3 position in the lead here compared to the other athletes.
See some great close-ups here. This was Sol Sa. That was on boulder 1. I'm just looking across at the bouldering wall actually, and all the boulders are gone. They're now being replaced. So I was about to look across just to double check which boulder that had been, and it no longer exists. The route set is working hard here.
Yeah, there's actually 12 people on the mats working on the boulder wall at the moment, considering how short they are of time. They'll completely reset the boulder from the women's to the men's.
Remember, of course, the boulders are preset. They're not making the boulders up as they go, but they are getting all the holds from the women off the wall and all the men's back on, and they've left lots of little marks on the wall and on the volumes themselves so that they know exactly how to put the volumes back onto the wall from when they preset these boulders. So there we see it, Sol Sa, 2 ranking points, 1st and a 2nd. That top on the final boulder, absolutely crucial. Yanya Garnbrett lurking there with 5 ranking points. It's very tense here.
Seen a big blue cross on the wall. We'll come back to that in the men's competition. That's for their route. You can see moving on to the leaderboard, just said how big it is and how far the climbers need to get back off of the stage. You can see how far the wall overhangs the stage itself.
Yeah, and then we see the wall 15 metres high, 12 metres wide, made up of 5 panels, all of them overhanging, and the 3rd and longest panel, which is right through the middle, is the steepest of all, 54 degrees overhanging.
So it's an absolutely brilliant lead competition wall. If every gym could have one of those, we'd see a lot of strong climbers in the world.
So there we see it, the climbers coming out in reverse order of their current overall ranking. So it's not determined by how they did in the bouldering, it's how they're doing in the overall standings. And Akio Noguchi, Miho Nanaka and Petra Klingler, the 3 climbers who now cannot win the competition, would be the first 3 out. And then it's a shootout, Jessie Piltz, Janja Gamret and Sol Sa. Very likely to come down to those last 2 climbers mathematically.
I think the biggest element of interest in this is Sol Sa's fitness. She looked a lot fitter than the other athletes. She looked a lot fresher, and I think her skin is probably in much better condition than potentially Janja's and Jessie's. This is the women's route then. It starts on the blue combination start with the men's competition, goes up high through all the red holds with the blue jibs on.
Yeah, so men will be on the left, women on the right. Obviously, the reason we can't have just one route on the wall, as we did in the bouldering where we had just the women's boulders and now the route setters are changing it over to make the men's, is there's just too many holes on a lead route, and also you need a big cherry picker to come into the arena and put them back on. So the route setters have no choice but to leave both routes on the wall all day. And there's a little summary. Chatted to Jan Zabranak, our Czech head route setter for the lead, and he was saying lower down they put a bit of a show on for the public. There's a little jump, and then higher up on the second half of the route, it's just about resistance and hanging on for as long as you can. It will be so pumpy. And he said to me, it's a combined, and they've already done the bouldering, so it's not a big boulder problem, it's a proper lead route.
I'm pleased personally to see the jump quite low down on the route. I think jumps on routes are quite fun. Sometimes they do lead to big rests, and we don't really want that in the middle of the route. So to get it out of the way nice and early, like I say, it's a nice bit of show, and then it's into some proper hard crimping.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If you're going to have a jump, get it low down, get the crowd cheering, and then make it a proper lead route from there on out. Resistance, pulling hard, small holes, who can hang on the longest. Here goes Akio.
To be honest, I'm surprised any of these female athletes can hang on at all. Action after action, speed, all the way through a really hard boulder round. Normally when you do 4 boulders in a boulder round, you have a day's rest, or a whole day until you have to go into the next round. These guys are straight onto lead climbing. Unprecedented scenes really in IFSC competition now. So this is where the women's route breaks away from the men's route, then they go into the red pockets rather than the blue ones. Big crossover move.
The route setters, just to make it abundantly clear, obviously tell the women yours is the route on the right, but then also they've folded away the quick draws on the men's route, so there could be no confusion about which quick draws to clip or where you've got to go. And Kyo now well clear onto the section of the wall that is exclusively the women's route, and this is the jump. She will clip before she goes, I'd imagine she will. And she's going out to a big blue volume that we can't quite see from this angle. It's got a tiny little screw-on jib inside it just to improve it ever so slightly.
Yeah, I have to say this jump does actually look quite hard, not in terms of distance, but the hold you're going to is not great. Hits it easily there, both arms remain bent. Almost takes for a little canvas up there, Akio. Then she remembers she's on a lead route and she's got another 35 moves still to go. A lot of power through this bottom steep section here. Seems like minutes ago that Akio was on the 4th boulder, and here she is halfway up the lead wall. Someone who's not really covered the combined before is fascinating to watch.
Well, no one's really covered the combined before. Yeah. It's great.
It's brutal.
It is brutal. Think how much climbing these climbers have done, not just today, but the last 10 days. Absolutely savage workload.
The toll on the body of these athletes through this last set of 2-3 hours is incredible. All different types of energy systems required, muscle groups, full body workout, speed, then boulder, then lead. And Cleo still is looking incredibly fresh as she gets close to the top angle change.
Yeah, she's absolutely flowed through it. Of course, the climbers get 6 minutes to attempt the lead route, and it's just a measure of who can get highest on the wall. If there is a tie, it comes down to time, by the way, if there's a tie on score.
Yeah, heading up to hold 30 of 40 at the moment here from Akio. This is supposed to be a really hard resistance route. Akio is obviously incredibly talented. Let's see how much further she can get.
Pops up with the left hand, and the pump seems to come on so suddenly.
Old 32 there for Akio, maybe a 31 plus. See what the judges give her. I'm sure that'll be a 31 plus. That's the jump at the bottom. Really sort of nervy move for the climbers to get through a move like that at the bottom of the wall. Just hits it. Pretty sure that is 31 plus for her. For the scores to come up on the system, yeah, it's 31 plus.
So Kyo Noguchi not going to win here, but she's set our first high point on the lead wall, and it was a 31 plus. It's Miho Nanaka. Just had a correction to our route map of this lead route. The route setters prepare them pretty much last minute because they're tweaking the routes until the last possible second. But we do now have an accurate route map, so hopefully we'll be able to figure out what scores people are getting in real time.
Using a lot of force through the shoulders in that bottom. We've lost the feet completely there. It's not going to do her right shoulder any favours, especially. Very classic looking route, this one. Big journey. Just working her way across this big half cone, lining up for the jump now. Really smooth climbing so far. Excellent moves on this route up to that point. Nice shapes.
So she's at the jump now, Miho Nanaka. The win is gone, but strong performance would send her off into the off-season quite nicely. Rope just getting in the way there before you're lining up for the jump. It's one thing you don't need, and we can see there, as with Akio, doesn't look too phased by the jump. It's clearly not especially hard, just playing with the climbers' minds a little bit. And Miho, of course, will want to finish the season strongly, but carrying a shoulder injury, and with the win already gone, it's going to be hard to give this route absolutely 110%. Let's see how she gets on.
Starting to fight a little bit here, actually. She's starting to wrap quite strongly the right arm around that volume. It's a bit of a sign of she might be feeling a bit tired, not holding it sort of too conventionally. Sort of desperation wrap. So a lot of people at home can relate to that. Fingers are gone, so just wrap the forearms onto it and hope for the best. Currently on hole 22, so a 32 plus from Akio. None of these moves are especially difficult for these athletes, but it's just all about the resistance to the moves in the forearms. The pump just building and building and building on these routes. Classic endurance test piece.
And we lose Miho.
Yeah, 26 plus for her.
Exiting the steepest section of the wall. He looks at her skin as if to say, I'm looking forward to a day off tomorrow.
Yeah, bleeding out the tips again. At last she can close her climbing bag. No more climbing for her for quite some time, I think. Get back on that plane and head for some recovery.
I haven't actually asked Miho or any of the Japanese team if she's competing in the next Lead World Cup in Slovenia. May well be hanging around here in Europe for another fortnight or so. We'll find out, but either way, finally she is done in Innsbruck after competing since the middle of last week.
Seeing throughout the competition here in all the different disciplines, so much blood being left on the wall. Such a feature of this championships.
Yeah, she'd really just begun to get herself established on the real resistance section of the route there, Miho.
Yeah, as I said, 26 plus. It did flash up initially as a 26, but it was awarded the progression on the whole 26, so let's get the plus on that one. If the climber moves past the hold but doesn't quite stick the next one, they get the additional plus to the number.
Here comes Petra Klingler. 31 plus for Akio Noguchi. 26 plus for Miho Nanaka. Suddenly some almost funeral music echoes around the venue. Possibly not quite what Petra Klingler would have ordered. I mean, what she really needs is a shot of adrenaline, a bit of Metallica or something, but that's what she's got, and she's underway. Right, this is going to be so tense. We're not going to know who the champion is until the very last climber. The route setters and the IFSC have got their script writing absolutely perfect this time. For now, it's Petra Klingler, the 2016 bouldering world champion on the wall.
Do you have to wonder how much these athletes have been training this level of climbing in such a short period of time? Have they just been focusing getting better at speed, getting better at bouldering, or getting better at lead? Or have they been focusing trying all three of them back to back in a training session? I'm sure a number of them would have tried it. Well, it's different when it's the real thing.
I think the interesting thing about that question is really nobody knows how to train for these three disciplines because it's not been done before. No one's ever had to do all three disciplines in one day. So everyone's really just operating on theories right now of how they might go about it. And climbers I've spoken to are just trying to figure out how their body copes with training for all three and how to manage the workload, and Petra doesn't bother with the jump at all.
Well, Petra's got her measurements dialed absolutely there. For a second, she had the left hand wrapped around the rope. Thought, oh, that's going to be a real problem if she jumps. It doesn't jump at all, just pushes out.
Well, there was no coming back if she'd missed with the right hand.
No, but that means that so much experience. She knows, sounds ridiculous, but she knows exactly how long her own arm is. I see a lot of more amateur climbers sometimes reaching up, touching a clip to see if they can reach it. All the best climbers in the world, they know exactly how long their arms are, and they can calculate it in their heads without having to reach up and test it.
So she's through the jump, another few moves, and then she'll be onto those volcanoes, and then you get the real resistance, traditional lead climbing fight higher up.
When Miho started to show signs of fatigue. Unsurprisingly, really, considering the week she's had. Such a powerful start to the women's route as well.
See Petra, she's looking tired now, going up with the left. The wind might have gone, but there's no lack of fight here from Petra. As soon as she comes down on this lead wall, her World Championships is over, so she might as well give it everything she's got. Crowd enjoying this, they respect the effort that she's putting in here. Heading out right to the volcano, that's number 22, the one over to the right. She's just heading up to 21 now. So past halfway on the routes, 40 holds in total.
Just managed to manufacturing a little bit of a rest here off the left knee scum. Might have just got a little bit back there. She was struggling for a second, but does manufacture that rest. Such is the ability of these athletes to recover. Really fighting now, one move at a time here for Petra.
Oh, Petra Klingler, she's looked tired for 10 moves and she's still going. She matches Miho Nanaka on the 26. Can she turn it into a 26 plus? I think it will be a 26+, same score as Miho.
That was a brilliant fight. Really enjoyed watching Petra once again. She takes the bow. That's a really great bit of resistance climbing. Just one move, sticks it, next move, fight, sticks it again. Just kept fighting. This is the lowest section, but just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. That's really what we want to see. Great route set so far. That's the move out to the right. So strong is Petra in the shoulders.
Just to let you know, because they're tied on score, it actually comes down to time between Miho and Petra. Petra is slightly quicker. She gets second place in the lead. As it stands, Jessie Piltz is going to be next on the wall. She actually can't win the competition either. Solsar's worst score possible will be 12 ranking points, which is where Jessie is. So even if Jessie's first in the lead and Solsar is 6th, they'll be tied on 12 points. But then it comes down to comparison in each of the 3 disciplines. And because Sol outperformed Jessie in 2 disciplines, Sol would still finish ahead of her. So Jessie Piltz can't actually catch Solsar. It's a shootout between Janja Garmret and Solsar for the win.
Olympic format and all its intricacies is going to take time to bed in for everybody. It's quite complicated when it comes to ties.
Yes, and there's another level of complexity we could do without.
It's interesting when we talk about Jessie, just as we go through the highlights of the first athletes out on the routes, is that after the speed, you would have thought, going on a form book from this week on boulder and lead, she would have done really well to lose this combined competition, but the fact that she had a real struggle in the bouldering, I think due to the nature of the boulders being very dynamic, 6th in the bouldering, she can't win.
So this is the women's route. Over on the right, men on the left. For now, we're just focusing on the women's, the men's combined final. Penciled in to start at 2:30, so not much rest time for anyone in the venue. Jump to the top. Can we see anyone have a go at it? Here's Jessie Piltz.
In her favoured discipline, the 2018 world champion in lead.
Covered it earlier, the climbers already had their 6-minute observation period. Jessie just gets 40 seconds, or maximum 40 seconds, to have a look at the route herself, and Miho Nanaka instantly icing up that bad shoulder. She did well to compete, Miho, because I have to say, after the bouldering final on Friday night, I really didn't fancy her chances of being able to take part today.
Yeah, there's some chairs behind those guys, but they both basically look a bit KO'd on the floor at the moment.
They'd fall asleep if they got on the couch, to be honest. 6 minutes begins for Jessie Piltz. Auf geht's, says the local MC. Austrian crowd getting behind one of their own. She now lives in Innsbruck, having relocated from the other side of Austria. And this is her favourite discipline. As Mike said, she is the lead world champion. Jessie. Now getting ready for the jump. She'll get the clip done early. There it is. I think she'll go for the jump. We saw Petra just roll out slowly. Route setters must have been cursing then. They set a jump and they find a way to do it without jumping. So Jessie thinking the same thing.
Yeah, this is really risky for Jessie. She could potentially fall on this move.
Really doesn't like the look of the jump. She's going to have to go for it, I think. I don't think she can span it. And as it turned out, it didn't really cause her too many problems.
Yeah, it does go for it in the end and does campus up to the right hand. Got very nervous for Jessie there for a minute. Didn't like the jumps in the boulders. Hesitated briefly there, but got it done in the end. A good show of character there for Jessie. Now she's just got to focus on keeping the forearms as fresh as possible through every single one of these moves, making no mistakes, take the rest when they're there, and blast through the sections when it gets hard. Wrestling a little bit with this sort of big volcano hold here. Somewhere between resting and fighting here, Jessie Piltz.
Now there we can see 26 plus from Petra, and the 26 plus from Miho as well. Akio Noguchi's 31 plus, looking more impressive with any minute that goes by here. That's Jessie Piltz up to hole 21, which is the first of the volcanoes. That's hole 23 there that she's got her hand on. So she's getting towards the Petra and Miho high point, and then she's gunning for Akio above. 31 plus Akio got.
Quick slip there from Jessie. Just recalculates, rechalks. Might have been a bit of blood on the hole potentially. Here she goes then into the high point of Miho and Petra. See Akio Noguchi score much higher up on the wall. How much has Jessie Piltz got left in the tank then? A brutal day's climbing so far. She went through all of the rounds of the speed, obviously went through the 4 boulders. Now she's fighting on the route. The huge Austrian crowd here really wants to see a performance from Jessie Piltz.
31 plus from Akio Noguchi as Jessie Piltz nears hole 29. That's 30.
It's 32 plus for Akio at the moment.
31 plus, yeah. That's 31 there that Jessie's got. Go out with the left hand. There it is, so Jessie Piltz is going to finish in the top 3 of the lead. Having such a fight here, Jessie. She's looked tired for a few moves, but she's somehow finding the energy after a tough 10 days and a savage final route to keep on trucking. There's 35. Go out left to 36. 4 holds to go. Slight change here for Jessie Piltz in style. Onto volumes instead of crimps. The Austrian crowd really enjoying this. She's got a big committing final move to do though. That's 37 and 38. Last move is 40, last hold is 40. She's got that one out to the right, that's 39. See it, just trying to lever her way over to it. After all that's preceded it, this is a fantastic effort from Jessie Piltz. Crowd absolutely loving this. Latches in with the right hand. Jessie Piltz finds the top. The Olympia world erupts. She can't win the combined, but she's topped the final route.
Staggering performance from Jessie Piltz. How she has that much energy and endurance left after so much climbing. Been here for 2 weeks climbing. Been here all day climbing so far. Again, in the women's competition, we see another top of Yanya and Solsar still to come. Is it going to be another case where Yanya Gambra and Jessie Piltz both top the finish route? Surely not. That's where she nearly fell off, 2/3 of the way up the route. It was a staggering performance for Jessie, really. Everyone in the arena really appreciated it because they knew she couldn't win, but just to show how strong she was, bit of blood on that hole, just there as we see on the instant replay. It was a staggering show of route climbing ability, I have to say though. She took a huge rest at the top before the finishing hole. I thought she was in a bit of a tangle with the rope on the final mantle. Pushed it out, and just more scenes of tops in the women's competition. There's the big roll over to finish. Similar to the lead final. Big move to finish that Jessie just clings onto.
So there we can see top for Jessie Piltz If Janja Garnbret and or Sol Sa can match that, it'll come down to time on the final route. Just trying to inquire from the judges what the official time was.
So Janja Garnbret, this is like an instant replay of the Women's World Championship final. Jessie Piltz comes out first, battles hard, tops the route. Janja Garnbret comes out to try and top the route. Combined medals up for grab now. Jessie Piltz has made this route look very doable.
Remember, it could come down to time.
Surely
We don't have to actually have a clock on screen. Surely not, but it could be so crucial, because if Janja's first or second, or it could end up being third if Sol Sa was to top the route as well.
I'm not 100% sure, Charlie, because we couldn't see it that well from here, but I think she had around 1 minute 20 still on the clock when she, and I did have a quick glance at the route. Certainly don't hold me to that, because I do not know, but she was quite quick on the route.
Janja is a pretty quick climber, we know that. Getting so tense in the Olympia world, it's felt like a marathon of climbing just watching it.
See on the left-hand side of the screen there, Jessie Piltz's time has come up. 5 minutes dead on the route. Makes it nice and easy for us. As Janja Camps is out on the right, brimming with confidence. Janja Garnbret will be quite fresh going into this competition. Lead final. Dominated the bouldering.
Here is Janja, no problems, as one might expect for the jump. Just to let you know, Jessie's official time was 5 minutes on the route, so good effort, Mike, trying to eyeball it, but apparently her official time was 5 minutes.
10 seconds out.
Yeah, 10 seconds out. Pretty impressive.
See, that's what she's aiming for. The top.
So, it's happening all over again on the lead wall in the Olympia world. Janja Garnbret chasing down a top.
To be honest, I'm shaking my head a little bit. I can't quite believe it. It's like an instant replay of the women's final.
At least you didn't have to sit here, Mike. Heart rate's only just recovered from the last time. So Janja Garnbret now, more than half her time remaining, of course. She's set off with 6. She's got just over 2 minutes to find a way to the top if she wants to be ranked first in the lead. Remember, it's all relative to each other, so she may not need to top. She may be able to top slower than Jessie, and it might still be enough. It all comes down to what Sol Sa can do.
One thing Janja Garnbret will be doing, though, is moving fast after what happened in the main final earlier on in the week. She's not going to make that mistake again.
No, she's not. 32 for Janja, 8 holds to go. 1 minute 40 seconds in which to latch them.
Just working her feet a little bit here, Janja. Just got them lost for a second. Start working hard now, I think. Surely at some point in this competition she's got to get tired.
So, Janja Garnbret narrowly missed out on the World Championship lead title. She's gunning for the first ever Olympic format combined title in an IFSC World Championship. She shakes out. She's arrived at the top with plenty of time to go, but the same thing happened in the lead final and she didn't manage to convert it. The official time is that Jessie had 1 minute remaining. Janja would be well advised, if it's all possible, to get these moves done though, and not make it a close run thing, because she missed out on the gold medal in the lead final by 7 seconds. She's chalked up, she's rested, she's got the penultimate hold, and Janja Garnbret just needs to free that rope. She hasn't realised the rope's caught round to the left, and she's got a big jump to do. Janja Garnbret goes up with the right hand and somehow makes it work. The clock stops, and that should be Janja Garnbret, ranked 1 in the lead with Sol Saar still to come, and with the overall title in her hands. All Janja can do is watch as Sol Saar comes out.
Another staggering performance from Janja. To be honest, was it ever in doubt that she was going to top the route? Not sure. I mean, she could have made a mistake. Her right foot looked a tiny bit low if you were being super critical at the end there. This is the interesting thing about the combined. It's not over until it's over. Sol Saar's got to come out and determine where the medals are going to lie.
That was a total climbing time of 4:34 for Janja to Jessie's 5. So Janja is now in the lead, on the lead. Okay, so Sol Saar is coming out and needs to top the route. She could do doing it pretty quickly, so that's how it stands right now. It shows how tight it is. Sol Saar, of course, not really a realistic representation because she's already got 2 scores to multiply together. We'll head out onto the lead wall.
Pressure's on now for Sol Saar, the final climber out. She's incredible performance up to this stage in the competition. She really enjoyed the combined. She's put on a great show, lots of frills and spills in the bouldering. I think it was 17th in the semi-finals. She's going to look to do a lot better than that on this route. What level of fitness does she have for the lead climbs? It's most definitely possible. We've seen it done twice already. Seems to be the story of Innsbruck here. Jessie Piltz and Janja Garnbret head to head. Route not really difficult enough for those two. The argument continues. Do the route setters go for a show and risk multiple tops, or do they just make it incredibly difficult and have climbers nowhere near the top? Has been a good show, to be fair. Sol Saar could finish it off in style.
Sol Saar needs to be second here, nothing else will do, because Janja Garnbret has won the bouldering. You'd have to say Sol Saar generally is a stronger boulderer than she is a lead climber, but with what's on the line, could she pull the performance of a lifetime out of the bag? She managed it on boulder number 4.
And just to get through the dyno, get that part of the route out of the way. Obviously Charlie, to come second or better, she needs to find a top on the route. And in the right amount of time.
Yeah, if Sol Saar's third, that means she'll have first on the speed, second in the bouldering, third in the lead, which would give her a total of 6. And Janja Garnbret would have 1 times 1 times 5, and she'd have 5 points. So it's second or bust for Sol. God forbid it got complicated.
She is going quite well here. Very slow up to this point. Like you said, Charlie, her preferred discipline is on the boulders. We definitely see that today.
So this is it. Janja Garnbret, top of the standings. That's a familiar position, but watching someone else gunning to take it away from it, less so. Sol Saar, falls, and Janja Garnbret is the combined champion in Innsbruck of 2018. She started out with 5th on the speed wall, but then followed it up with 1st in the bouldering, 1st in the lead. Can Janja Garnbret find a way? She always finds a way, and Sol Saar has had a fantastic World Championship this an incredible result for her nonetheless. She's going to finish second, but it's Janja Garnbret who's the champion.
Well done, Janja Garnbret. A lot of people would argue she is the best climber in the world and does take away the overall win in the combined. Solskjaer on the route, unfortunately, just didn't look like she had the fitness. It was route climbing fitness that she needed at the end of the competition. That's what makes the combined so interesting. She may have done so well on the boulders, she did excellently on the speed, but it was the fact that she didn't have the resistance in the lead. We will be bringing you a live interview with the winner, Janja Garnbret, very shortly. Janja Garnbret finishes this championships here in Innsbruck with 2 gold medals, double world champion in 2 different disciplines and a silver medal in the lead. But another story here in Innsbruck, 2 tops once again, those 2 ladies, Janja Garnbret and Jessie Piltz, both with a top. Janja Garnbret this time nearly a minute quicker on the route. Does go down to time once again in the women's lead competition. Noguchi third in the lead. She looked really fit on the route. So much endurance. Unfortunately, Solskjaer just didn't have it. She needed second or better. Let's have another look. This is Janja on the top move. Exactly the same rope position, same as Jessie. Big rotation up to the finish. Oh, got it done. I don't think really it was ever in doubt for Janja Garnbret after we saw that impeccable performance by Jessie Piltz. Got to be pleased for Janja, really. There is the final standings. Janja Garnbret, 5 points total, 5th in the speed, 1st in the bouldering, 1st in the lead. Solskjaer finishes with a well-deserved silver medal, 1st in the speed, 2nd in the bouldering, and 6th, 1 times 2 times 6, 12 points. Jessie Piltz follows up with the bronze medal. Team Japan, slightly disappointing for Team Japan, 4th and 5th, and Petra Klinger, after a brilliant fight, ends up down in 6th. Very, very shortly, we'll be bringing you an interview with Janja Garnbret down at the front of the wall.
Janja, you had a difficult start on the speed wall, but after that it was spectacular. What was the whole experience of competing in that combined final like?
It was a very interesting experience and a very unique experience. The Olympic format is interesting. It takes so long, but still it was interesting. We had a lot of fun with the girls. And yes, I had a rough start. I didn't have the best speed time, but I didn't care because I knew I still have 2 disciplines, and I really enjoyed the lead and speed and bouldering.
And what was the biggest difference between a normal competition? Was it just the volume of climbing?
The difference, I don't know. It was a special format, and maybe that's because it was so different.
And how does this rank in all your achievements? The first combined champion with the Olympic format.
Yeah, it feels amazing. I think the people like more if a person wins in one discipline, that is the world champion, I don't know, in lead or bouldering. But this was, but I'm very proud of myself that I'm the first combined winner, and it's a great start into the Olympic season next year and to 2020. And yes, I'm looking forward to that.
All right, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Say really, Janja Garnbret was the favourite going into the combined. I've been saying that since the start of 2018, really. So dominant in the lead last year. So dominant in the bouldering, so dominant lead, wins the World Championship overall, first ever one. That has been the first ever Olympic combined in the women's. Very shortly, you can catch the live stream in the men's. For now, a very short break, and we'll see you in the men's Olympic combined.